Right, Croeso, welcome to Britain's Hidden History 111. Wow, and they say it would never last. Tonight, opening the show, we got Zavi, who's hiding off the camera. Come around a bit, Zav. That way a bit. Who's going to play sort of what I always think of as a bit of an unofficial Welsh anthem. All right, take it away, Zav. All right. Okay. All right, just get himself ready. All right, I'll start talking. Oh, accompaniment as well this time. All right. Getting the full works. Right, with my head on. Zav. There we are, my little joke at Welsh weather. I can say it. I'm in Wales, aren't I? I keep singing. I'm trying hard not to block you out here, Zev. Right, Richard, congratulations first on, and thank you for all your help. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Johnny Nigma, yeah, got something cooking with Johnny as well. Good to see you. Evening all. Shout out from Brighton. Hello, Mr. XTV. Andrew Whelan, Heather from Independent Tropical Jurassic Merthyr. Right, I'll say a few more hellos, but I have to tell you tonight is absolutely mind-blowing. I know last week... there's my notes. Well, last week was big. This week we're going to go through the whole... I got some unpublished Wilson and Blackett notes. We'll be producing them as a little download, which will be available. It's not quite right tonight, but we'll polish it up. It'll go out free to all the Patreon supporters. I'll try and work out a way getting it free to the members. And if you want, we'll make £1 for a download from the website, okay? This is hot stuff. In the rain. Yay! Well done, Zav. Very good. There we go. So singing in the rain there. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. This is. I was reading this. I got piles and piles and piles of these notes being given to me by Wilson and Blackett to produce into books and to promote and talk about and all that kind of thing. And it just never ceases to amaze me, because when I came across this, the more I read it. Well, for one, there's a few things that I just didn't expect. One big chunk which really backs up what Comyns Beaumont has written, which is a big surprise, because I know Alan hasn't followed Comyns Beaumont, not to my knowledge anyway, but there you go. And the links with Scotland and Wales and the Holy Family, and after crucifixion we're talking about before that, and where they were, who were the parents, who's the mother and father of Jesus, who Jesus was, his son. It's I know you think, it's Bible stuff like that, but what's really fascinated me is the idea that, and this is going to sound a real shock, it shocked me, that Illtyd could be Jesus. No. So we'll see St. Illtyd's churches everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Watch, with my hat on, shouldn't I? Oh, that cricket head dropped it. No, I did catch it. There we go. This is my local team, Llan Twit, which is rather rude. Llan Illtyd. Is this Illtyd, as in Llantyt Major, Llantyt Vardra, all that kind of stuff? Is that a reference to Jesus? I know, it sounds weird, doesn't it? It sounds weird. We'll go through that, and we'll see how far we can get, because this little sheaf, when I got piles and piles, this little sheaf is enough for 3 more shows there. So, I mean, there was such a great response to last week, where I'm showing how where my view anyway, Rosetta Stone is either faked or severely tampered with, to put it politely. How long shall I leave the cap on for? I guess probably enough, isn't it? No, to put it. I'll take it on in a second. Right, a few more hellos. Right, if you're new to the show, the way it works to look at fascinating parts of history which has been hidden away from what we're generally told and shown, okay? And you'd be amazed how much this is. And some of I usually talk about the rewrite, the big one, after the coup, where the ancient British royal family was kicked out. Oh yeah, I've also got more Wilson and Blackett notes on that, on how the Stuart's claim works, then how the Hanoverian claims and connections work or don't work. So that's another one. There's loads of stuff coming up, all the way back to the beginnings of religion, the first ever writing in the world. There is so much information, and you've got the likes of Alan Wilson and Baron Blackett, who I write and publish for, which is a great honour. But I'm not just, stuck in a box. There's other writers, and there's other things, and we take this work and keep going to the next level. The important thing is we keep it going. I haven't to put this down. We shouldn't wear hats indoors. And I'm old school on that kind of thing. And as I always say, that Wilson Blackett discovered, almost stumbled upon British history what was left of it, and it was like clinging on by its fingernails on the top of the cliff, about to tumble into oblivion, and I reached down and pulled it up and got it back onto its knees. Now it can always fall back down again, and that's what we have to, pile in and help out. So what we do on this show, I'll do some little news items and some updates, keep that fairly short before we get on to the main discussion. And I want to do a couple of special hellos today. First of all, to Len. I spoke to Len, got in touch with me, sent me a letter. I love letters, old school Len. Len Crowther lives very local to me, funny enough, in what would be called Llantyfardra or Church Village. A place actually called Church Village, in Welsh, eglwys for church. So, usually if you get a place called River, it means it's a very early river. If you get a church called Church, Anyway, so well done, Leonard. Now, the cool thing about Leonard, not only has he got some hidden things about local history I'd never heard of, which is great, I'm going to explore those and film them, but he knew Alan Wilson back in the 1960s. How cool is that? So that's going to go into my next letter up to Alan Wilson, or my next chat, and remind him of Len sends his best wishes. And it's back in the days where young Alan Wilson was involved in rugby, and he's out, organising rugby and that kind of thing, and playing the game still. So that must be quite fascinating to think back and remember the young Alan. And he says, even in those days, so we're talking, almost 60 years ago, Alan was already looking into history and Latin and all this kind of stuff. And I was talking to Len, he said a real shock, because he hadn't been involved in this for a long time. And then he came along and suddenly found all this Wilson and Blackett stuff. Like, hang on, I remember that bloke. Wow, how much further has happened since then. So that was fascinating. So welcome aboard, Len. And another chance encounter the other day, Richard, who was first on tonight, congratulations, let me know that Eglwys Church is back open again, after it being closed for years for COVID and all that kind of stuff. And we went up there, going to do some filming, because it's got the Warrior Stone up there, and I'll do a short film, it'll go up during the week. Okay, we did some filming up there. And when we were there, I met this wonderful person wandering around who we said hello to, because it seemed, you've got to look for synchronicity in life sometimes, not just coincidences, and go sometimes with, where, especially doing this kind of work, Wilson comments about it as well, there's so much synchronicity with things that's happening when you need them to happen and stuff. It's just bizarre. So we went and said hello to this really lovely lady, and it turns out her name's Valmai, and her father, she was there, she lives in England, and has done most of her, for the last chunk of her life anyway, I don't know all the details. So a little filming, little interview, if you like, hello. And Valmai, but her father was buried in the graveyard, and she just happened to be visiting the same day as we happened to be up there. And her father also wrote this rather lovely book, which I am thoroughly enjoy reading, because Valmai sent me a copy with a really nice little card with it, a nice little message. So thank you very much indeed for that. I'm thoroughly enjoying the book, and there's always something to learn, and this is charmingly written and full of great pictures and history. So thank you. And I've been sent a few things to read, so I'm on a catch-up at the moment. I'm also reading more of Comyns Beaumont, and I've got another writer who I'm hoping to actually get in touch with. And one of the few... I mean, you think these mind-blowing things are so big, what on earth are we going to talk about next week? Sometimes I worry about that. It's not like that on this channel. We've got so much. The Odyssey book is just about ready, and that's going to be done as a download. All right, so it'll be a very low-cost download. So do a program on that, hopefully next week or the week after. There's going to be a slot on how to read Babylonian. That might sound a bit dull, but like who were the Hittites? Even the word Hittite is not quite correct. This is the genius of Alan Wilson. And you learn what the symbols actually read as. Then you can translate them using modern Welsh. And everything, all the names, it all makes sense. And suddenly you've got the people referred to by Egyptian history. You think, who are these names? Who are these people? The Amu and Amorites and all this kind of stuff. Who are they? Well, you can see them in the Hittite writing. It's just they've been wrongly transcribed. It just amazes me. That should be another Nobel Prize thing or some sort of international recognition. And it's just stuffed away in the notes. mind-blowing, all right? Because what it does do then, it also tells you more that we didn't know. So it's not only... My main interest, as you know, with hieroglyphics is more the fact that you can read hieroglyphs more than what they actually say. So I'm hoping other people will take it on and look at what it says and that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. So that's coming up, which gives even more then backing to the Babylonian links, which Steve Willits is working on. So we need to get that up soon. The story of Gilgamesh mapped out in the South Wales landscape, the star maps. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, the pyramids. I know a lot of people have been asking when that's coming out. It's almost there. The book will be out soon as well. Why the pyramids are built, why they're built where they are, all those kind of things. Mind blowing, mind blowing, mind blowing. Right, so just say a few more hellos. People are still logging on. I see numbers going up by the second. Great to see. Just growing and growing. Keep spreading the word, please, and welcome to all the new people. Right, so, Gavin Lloyd's there. It's great. I love I'm so grateful and thank you that people come back week after week after week after week. It's such a reassuring thing. People come back. It's a good sign. And there's Brad. I'm going to have another chat with Brad, hopefully, in the next week or two. So I hope you're doing well, Brad. Marcel. Hello, Marcel. David Mosley. Oh, hang on. He's put some Cyfarchion or Benrin Cimbrian. Oh, no. He's done me with some Welsh there. My Welsh is not that great. Can I take a... Nope. You're going to have to do a translation. You got me, David. I'll give you that one. And, yeah, I've got some stuff here. David Church. Hello, David. Dave's been showing me around today. We got some more stuff to come up with Taran Doysant, things I didn't know about. And Beddai, the place where I went to school. I had no idea. Well, I knew it meant graves, but I didn't know where the graves were. And you can still see where that is. So this has been fantastic. Right, and they said it would never last. That's it. Yes, that should be the catchphrase, really, shouldn't it? Right, Sean Paul Wood, Gary Taylor, Marco Guy. Yeah, and show Marco's channel as well. People are asking how to find it. Hi, Marshall. Yes, thank you, everyone. Right, loads of chat. Great. Just, I have to say, everyone on the chat's wonderful. I make sure that the replay is on. If you are watching this on replay, please look at the comments. They're good. And everyone remember, it's a family-friendly show, so no bad language, no being mean to anybody else. And I have to say, this never happens, really. Everyone's really cool. Right, okay, so let's crack on, because there's a lot to cover tonight. I hope to know how well... I've been so excited about this show, tonight's in particular, that I've been... I can hardly sleep. I think that's why I haven't slept very well the last few nights. If I look a bit tired... It's because I've been so excited about this topic and a couple of things that have come up. So when you get to the stage, usually I'm like the day before or something, like what we're going to do this week and put it together. This time, as soon as I read this, which was about last Tuesday, I knew. And with all that time, of course, you don't always get everything together in time. It's just human nature. Right, so we go on to that. So his name in Welsh, is Jesus Illtyd? Yeah, a couple of things about Beaumont. Right, now to start off, this is... Sean Morgan, thank you, Sean. Hope you're watching. I know you watch at some point during the week, usually. Is this map, right? Absolutely fascinated me. Or still fascinates me. Because this map was posted on a Facebook group, right? Sean posted it. And the joke there was that this is this scaremongering stuff. The sea levels are going to rise. And if they rise by, I don't know how many feet this was, so many metres, the white bits are the only bits of Britain, or United Kingdom, Ireland, whatever you want to call it, that would be left. All the blue bits would be underwater. Right. So the joke was then, you haven't got to worry, the joke they're making, doing the rounds, you haven't got to worry about getting Welsh independence. There'll only be Wales at some point. England would have disappeared. But then this map, I looked at it, and it just absolutely... Oh, can you hear okay? Oh, the wonderful Angela has brought me a cup of tea. There you go. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr, darling.
I've got food faster.
Pardon? Oh, I got sandwiches. Wow, look at this. I'll be well stocked up today. No, I'm okay, thank you. There we go. Yes, this map. Look at this map, right? Because this also ties in... Sorry, you're looking... Yeah, that way, that's right. Now, which way around? Immediately struck me, my goodness, doesn't this... The white bits almost exactly match what is considered to be old Britain. You've got and this ties in with Comyns Beaumont as well, who I have to say a lot of his work is really quite fascinating. as Edinburgh, which is crucial. So if there was a great flood, this is the point. If there was a great flood, and all myths and legends and histories around the world suggest there was a great flood, and maybe it didn't happen as long ago as is sometimes portrayed. It seems to have happened just a few thousand years ago rather than hundreds of thousands of years ago. So anyway, the situation we'd have had here, if we look at the old British kingdom, you've got Scotland, the Highlands, and the Lowlands, the north of England, and then Wales and Cornwall. I mean, that's pretty much the British kingdom. And then this is what's considered to be the Anglo-Saxon lands and Mercia and all those kind of areas. The demarcation is so stark, it just struck out to me. And poor old Ireland is like a swirl of little islands and stuff. Now, one of the ones that comic books I'm reading at the moment, I've got a couple of books on at the moment, is what's it called, Britain's part in world history or something like that. And his argument is this is where it all began, up here and here, right? There's a lot of things with that. And also he places, that's right, another program I want to get into is Atlantis. So thank you very much to the person who's got in touch with me. They've written a book about this, and it's been well acclaimed. And he puts Atlantis down by Spain somewhere, which is actually quite compelling. I'm hoping to have an interview or a chat. Comyns Beaumont puts Atlantis here. Oop, hang on, go back. So this area, what I need to do is make some more maps. I didn't make this map, but I need to make some maps. Or if someone can do it for me, even better, and send them through, that'd be brilliant. You get a huge thank you from me. Is if we lower the sea levels and higher the sea levels, what difference you can see here. Actually, this map's not far off what he's talking about. Fascinating. Anyway, I hope you like that map. It does show. Can I see the comments there? It looks like Robert Langdon's Neolithic Britain. Yeah, thank you, Dave Mosley. Yeah, Robert Langdon. Yeah, I'm going to see him again soon. Robert, if you're watching, and Bob Morgan, the three of us are going to go and walk Wansdyke and go. If you don't remember, a year ago at least, interviewed Robert Langdon. A couple of shows. You can just search Robert Langdon in the search and you'll find the videos. Or search Langdon, might come up better because he's got an initial, Robert L. Langdon. And then he's great fun. We had a really good discussion. Didn't agree on much, but it's okay to disagree, all right? It's okay. But his theory is that, as you can see on this map, thank you, David, yeah, because it ties in very well with that, because you've seen the sea levels were higher, and what we see, what are called dikes, like Offa's Dyke, Wansdyke, and he would even say Hadrian's Wall, they weren't walls or dikes at all, they were actually canals. I know it seems bizarre because there's steep slopes on them and where's the water go. So we're going to have a field trip because my good mate Bob Morgan, who's just the king of knowing all these things, he's walked all those dikes end to end. And he's a big fan of Robert Langdon's work, and I'm really interested in it as well. And we're going to have some practical demonstrations. And we're going to have a little wager. I don't know if Robert knows this yet. We're going to have a little wager on this because I'm not coming back that night. I'm going to be staying either at Bob's or nearby. And we're going to have a few pints. And if he can't prove it, Robert's buying the pints. And if he can, we're buying him the pints. That's not fair, is it? It's half in the bet. 2-1 odds, that is. But there we go. All right, so... and also, that's the other thing I meant to mention. Because not only does this... I wish my cursor would work. You got Britain here. But the ancient British records also includes Brittany, which curiously is these islands here. So isn't that amazing? If you're going to draw a map of old Britain, that's pretty much what it would look like. There you go, just a little side story. Thank you to Glyn, I'm not sure you're supposed to say this, Heel, but Glyn anyway. He found this graphic. What we're trying to do is get a better picture of the back of this, which I still haven't managed to do. It's the Memnos Colossus from last week. I can read most of this, not too difficult. I was hoping this would be it as well, but it's different. But if you haven't looked at hieroglyphics, it's just Welsh words, so it's usually quite easy. I'm not sure what this is. I need to have a think what that is. Once you know what it is, you know the word in Welsh, then it's just a case of sound likes. So there's a mouth, for instance. So that's roch. Pronounce. I use it for my own little Rossi. So you've got pronounce, This is the Venin, gives us message, pronounced, so proclaim a message of the power. So they do seem to be religious. And I haven't looked up all these yet. There's the welcome. You are, I forgot what this is. It's a manuscript or something. I think you are the word of welcome. And you are the, oh God, remember this off the top of my head now. This is service. You are the something of service. The Lord is one of my favourites. And then we've got he is, or she is. That's the lineage, because it comes from a keel of this place, to proclaim your faithfulness to the Trinity. So that's interesting. So what is going on? Maybe these are Christian messages. Maybe Fomenko's right, or Alan Wilson's right, but it definitely seems Christian messages went back and forth, who knows what direction. I'll come back to that again another time. And then you've got, not quite sure what those two are, unfortunately, maybe in the dictionary. And this is the certain, anyway, you can do the whole thing like that, okay? And all this reads. And it does seem to have some sort, but unfortunately it's not the same as this. So if you're in Egypt or something like that, and I've been on Egypt travel groups on Facebook, and you can't go around the back at the moment. Health and safety. Jeez. Anyway, there you go. So that's still ongoing. Don't have time to do everything. Yeah, here's a fun one. And what I want to do now, just hang on a second. I'm going to switch to websites, and hopefully I've lined this up so we can just go through the websites in order. Well, they're not in order, of course. Right, okay. This is great. Thank you very much, Philip, for getting in touch. There's this local brewery. And this is the homepage. Then you got the shop and all that. You can do online. It's good fun. I will put the... look at Bragdi Toot lol. Little bit of fun. And if you look at our beer, this is why he got in touch with me. He was very excited to say this. We have got Glog beer. Or Glow, technically, but anyway, it looks like Glog there. So Glog is Brady Toot's 4% ABV session beer and is inspired by local folklore. It is said that deep beneath a tump called Two in a Glow, treasure is buried inside a gold-plated box. And this, if you read Wilson and Blackett, ties in with this. This would be the Ark of the Covenant. Fair warning to any prospective treasure hunters, legend tells it is protected by a winged bull-like creature. Yeah, I think this is a bit of a stretch, but yes. It's the cherubins, the cherubs on the Ark, who were not like those nice, pretty, chubby baby things you see in Renaissance paintings. They're nasty, winged creatures. Not quite like that, but I like the sentiment. Smooth, malty, and refreshing. So there we are. I might go and try a pint of that. By the way, in case you got the wrong idea, first time we watch this, I hardly ever drink, but I'll give a pint a go, just to give it a try, okay? Before you think it's some sort of boozing club. Right, here's a strange story, which a few people brought to my attention. Thank you very much. July the 1st, so it's like this week. It's quite funny. Archaeologists plan to excavate the tomb. Albert is one who showed this to me, so I hope you're watching, Albert. Thank you again. Archaeologists plan to excavate tomb linked to King Arthur. It's an ancient tomb or a cromlech or something like that, which looks to me like it's collapsed a bit. Anyway, that's another point. From the University of Manchester, are excavating Arthur's Stone, a tomb linked to the legendary King Arthur. Well, see, this is the problem here. What you have is a strange situation where you've got the Arthur, as in the bear, as in the star, the ancient astronomical messages, all that ties in and could well be linked to this. But it's not the same as the king, the two Arthurs. You've got the Arthur 1 from Warwickshire and Arthur 2 from Glamorgan. They're not directly related to this stone. You see what I mean? Because we've got this astronomical information, and in the Mabinogi, there's so much of the Mabinogi is to do with reading the stars and the creation and how the world started and this kind of thing. Oh, which is another thing we've got to do in a programme. That's amazing. All that ties in with Wales and possibly Scotland. Is that doesn't... People say, Arthur means bear, it means the star. It's nothing to do with the king. Does not say there wasn't a king, all right? This is one of these mix-ups, if you like. There's... anyway, so there we go. What they're doing there... So what you do is make myself a bit clearer. what mythology often does is use very famous, well-known characters to tell a story because it's easier to remember. When you look at the stars, it's just a load of dots and blobs and things. It's very difficult. So if you can make a story out of it, and say, oh, that one up there, see that bunch there, that's Arthur, and see that bunch over there, that's Peredur, and see that bunch over there, that's Kai. And you notice that Kai ran over to Arthur, and he went to there. It's much more memorable. So when you look up next time, you say, oh, yeah, well, Peredur should be next to Arthur, and Kai should be next to Peredur, because they're familiar characters. And you extrapolate that. And then, of course, how you choose the stars and what the story that becomes the main zodiac that we still use today, known as Ptolemaic Zodiac, is where you need to read Hugh Evans' book, First Zodiac. Have I got it there to hand? It always lives here. Yeah, there it is.
For Origins of the Zodiac.
Origin of the Zodiac. There we go. And Hugh Evans. It's brilliant information there. Absolutely stunning to show that Gwynedd ties in. Should we go back to that first picture, by the way? I can see Jez trying to message me here. Oh, no, I've got the Facebook open because there's a couple of Facebook groups I want to show. So I have to avoid the messages a second. Right, so this ancient stuff, quite often the cromlechs and the mounds were built to form a similar pattern of stars. What's unique about Gwynedd in northwest Wales is that the mountains mark out the constellations. Now, you can't just shove the mountains wherever you want them. So the implication is the mountains were there first, and they picked out stars to match the mountains, which would give them a memorable story. And then from that, all the other ones are being copied. So it's quite remarkable. Anyway, I was going to say, August the 27th, date for your diary. Hugh and I are working out the details. We're going to do a joint presentation, or take turns type thing. People see lots of me, maybe more of Hugh. And that'll be somewhere probably Morganstown or Taftswell. We'll put the details up hopefully next week. I have it all sorted out, and tickets and things. Okay, so come and see live. Chance to meet, which would be great. Meet other people interested in this kind of stuff. So we're not sure the topics yet. We could do North, because Hugh's the expert on astronomy and zodiacs. Me, much less so. I can have a crack at putting the South Wales one up, perhaps. Anyway, so what they're doing here, so this is bizarre now. So it's a joint project between English Heritage, University of Manchester. Archaeologists are moving turf for the first time to expose the underlying stratigraphy and record any archaeological remains. Blah, blah, blah. The monument originally extended to a field to the southwest may have taken the form of a low turf mound with rounded ends. That would make perfect sense. They're hoping to get skeletal remains and flint flakes and arrowheads and pottery and all this kind of stuff. Well, maybe you will, but what they're not looking at, what they should be looking at, is how this forms part of a star map. And it's absolutely crucial to the old druids and stuff. Right, hang on a second. Just bear with me. I just need to turn the messaging off. Don't want to see private messages on there. Right, okay. I'll jump straight onto the next page. More wind farms than I realised. People bring to my attention. Wales already produces double electricity it uses, double renewables. Doesn't see any return on that, and they keep building more and more and more. It's weird. So if you're not aware, you've got Eglwys Ullin, absolutely crucial part of Welsh history. It's soaked, the whole landscape there is soaked in ancient cairns and burial cists and mounds. And that astronomy I was just explaining is the star maps are vast. I mean, we're talking 40, 50 miles across. You know, they're huge. These mounds, we drive around South Wales, you see them there. And there would have been these in England. There's lots of these star maps, not just one, all right? But what you need is the key to how to read it. And that's explained in the Mabinogi. Up on Eglwys Ullin there, up on the Common, the Sengennydd, is where Arthur sits and has this conversation and plays this game of Gwyddbwyll. You can buy the Gwyddbwyll from the website, by the way. And there is the key. And the stones are arranged so you can see the whole star map in miniature. And it points you in the direction of where the various stars are. And that's where you're trying to plot and measure out and mark. So those stones cannot be moved, otherwise the whole thing doesn't work. This should be a World UNESCO Heritage Site, and they're going to put a wind farm on it, and God knows what's going to happen to those stones. Although we are trying hard, and there is a petition you'll see in the description. Please, 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 you've got to put pressure, because it's the roads and everything. Let's not get too much on the wind turbines, but just like I mentioned this, please look out Anishia, and they got problems there, because this is like a really dangerous area. I mean, I've been sent more information. I don't want to go into the whole thing here now, but you get flooding areas. This is a category D coal tip, which means it needs proper drainage and all those kind of things. We've already had an incident where one of them fell down. People think they're safe. It's horrendous. But what could happen here is this whole hill could slide down onto these houses. It's madness. What's going on? It's absolute madness. And then we got another one which I came across today. Oh, hang on a second. I just need to show the video. Right, slight pause in proceedings. I'll show you a very short video. Not even 1 minute, I don't think it is. How long is it? Oh, 2 minutes, sorry. 1.5 minutes. Hope this isn't going to deafen you. So I'll just turn it up there, I think it's about right. Make sure it's on screen. You hear me okay, on? Tell me if this is too loud, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so I'm up here with David, who's shown us some other things about Tarrant-Doisant. And on the field just up the road, he's also pointed this out. Save our mountain, say no to a wind farm on Money the Glyn. I can't believe another one here. Wales is producing double the electricity it needs. Why must we lose all our countryside, our history, everything, to this weird ideology? I just can't get it. If you just pan around a second slowly. If you look around here, it's absolutely spectacular countryside. And already the wind farms are encroaching. Down there, surprisingly how close we are to the Severn. You're just about to see that silver strip. And there's an army of turbines marching up that way. Behind that hill you'll find another massive wind farm. Power stations they are. Let's not call them farms, eh? They're not farms. They're not growing anything, they're destroying. And over there you see them coming nearer and nearer and nearer. And as I keep saying, it's not just these pretty little windmills spinning round. It's the roads they need, it's the way they cut through, it's the quarrying. The dreadful, just the sheer energy required to produce the turbines is never recouped by the energy they generate. It's madness, absolute madness. So I put the details of that petition, and if anyone wants to come in, get in touch with me from that organisation, I'll do an interview or something, that'd be great. But we have to stand up and realise that we've been taking a ride for a ride here. Alright. Yeah, there we are. So I thought I'd mention that. So if you are from, say, Money the Glyn, I've tried to send messages and that. I'm not having any luck getting through to you, so I am trying, okay? And please get in touch with me through ross@hieroglyphs.com or just put a message on here or something like that. Right, the car you just see in the background there was with David in it from the Landlord's Letting Company. Top bloke, top company. So I'm giving him a plug for free. And he took me up to show me more about Tarrant-Doisant. So I got some videos on that coming up, hopefully during the week. Right, now I'm just going to show you something now. David pointed out to me, Di. He's a local in Bather. He searched for Dŵr Cymru, right, which is Welsh water. It's a cue. I'm getting a bit political tonight. I try to avoid politics. Just check out something about this isn't right, okay? Look what comes up on here. Alright, so we'll go for, this is the homepage. What a mess, by the way. What a dreadful homepage. That's the welcoming page. Basically, we're not going to answer your calls. It's all rubbish. Anyway, all this kind of thing, alright? Aren't we wonderful, helping people? Help with your bill because they don't can afford it, because the water is even more expensive in Wales than it is in England, which is a bit bizarre because that's mostly where the water comes from. Priority services, careers, all this kind of stuff. Check this again. So I'd never thought this till Di pointed out today. Not for profit. so what do you mean? So where's all the money go then? What are you doing with it all? If billions and billions of litres of water are being sold every year and areas flooded and that, why isn't there a profit? Why isn't that coming back to the people who are actually, putting up with the flooding and things? And it's the same with the wind farms. I've really got to stop. There's the signatures. Oh, yeah, 480. This is the one to save Menace Eglwys, if you can, please. We've got like at least 500 signatures. Come on, surely. Okay, right. I just want to jump through a couple more things I've got here. This is trying to find Marco's website. It's Marco Guy Biblical Britain, all right? That's the new name for it. Marco Guy Biblical Britain. Some fascinating stuff here. And again, he's finding through different means these links with Orion and with Egypt and all that. And I need to put an interview up with guys soon. It's amazing. It is amazing to get through. All right, cool. Right, okay. Let's jump in through this. All right, let's get on to how are we doing for time. Oh my goodness, 8:45. All right, let's get on to the main subject. Oop, it should be on that slide there. Why isn't it on that slide there? Oh no, sorry, this is why, because it's not the main thing yet. Thank you very much again to Mandy for sending through these pictures from Case, which are top pictures, by the way. Case photography, I can see, is going to be one of your things. And this is the development, restoration work on at Coity. It's costing millions. I'm not sure anything's really changed, which is probably a good thing. I think they're just trying to shore it up and repoint it. I don't know why it costs so much. I'm not sure if anything was meant to be on this platform. Which, here we go, some wonderful pictures. Oh, I thought you might like to see. They opened up, taking the barriers down, so he wandered in and took some pictures and sent them through via Mandy. So thank you very much indeed for that. Stunning photographs. What a great place, Coity Castle. What I'd like to see them do on Coity Castle is make more of the history. I'll tell a little story quickly. It's one of the great sites showing independence in Wales. When the Norman invasion, so-called Norman invasion, took place, a number of knights managed to sneakily grab the castles along the Vale on the coast. And that was about as far as they got. Now, one of the knights got left out of this. He didn't have any land. And basically William said to him, if you're going to get it, mate, you're going to have to conquer it yourself. So he went off with his little army to try and take Coity Castle and the land surrounding it. So he started the siege. And then the local lord of the man, well, no, he'd been king actually, of his area, came, put the drawbridge down and walked out with his sword in one hand and his daughter's hand in the other, and basically said, what do you want to do, mate? Do you want to fight for it, or do you just want to marry into it? And this sums up the whole relationship with the Normans and the Welsh, where they gave up trying to conquer and they married in and became Welsh. You know, how many generations do you have to be married to local people before you stop being called Norman? You know, it's a strange one. So anyway, so this is the castle, Coity. And I hope they put a lot of signage up to recognise that most of this was pre the Norman era. It must predate it, otherwise you couldn't have this battle there and the siege and all that kind of stuff. And there are some Norman style editions. But let's put it this way: if say a Norman knight marries into a Welsh woman, and they have children and they marry locals. I mean, when does it stop being Norman? This is the point I'm trying to make. It's like Norman forever, you know. It's the one drop principle gone mad. So it'll be interesting to see how this looks when they've finished. Okay, so there's a few views in there. Right, okay, let's crack on. Right, this is really... take a deep breath. Now I've got to take a deep breath, and I'm going to do my best with what's quite a difficult and complicated subject, okay? So bear with me. What have we got there? Sid Eigen's going to come into it. Right, not too many images, though. A lot of it's going to be me, not just reading it, but I've got some other things to show as well. Right, now the opening line here is Guggen. Hang on, before we start on this, so we don't have any more interruptions, I'll have a quick look at the comments. So look, right, a lot of chat about the electrical output and things like that, and growing your own food and things like this, all things I'd recommend. Try your best. Raising awareness, thank you. Good work, Ross, thank you. Yeah, it's just one massive, are you advocating is that independence? Well, the problem is all the independent... I'm not getting to that. He's trying to trick me into getting to the politics there. It's not a case of independence. It's a case of who's doing all these things. I think it crosses borders. The real problem's not the borders. But anyway, let's not get me on that. Right, so Guggen... Thank you, Richard. Trying to stitch me up nicely. Guggen records how, I'll not just read, by the way, just to give the opening bit, how Ilid, and this shocked me, alright, Ilid arrived in Wales, that's I-L-I-D, okay, so we got there, not far from, well, it doesn't make much difference where I point, does it, but not far from here, you got Llanilids, and one of the things that always fascinated me is the name, I've had this suspicion for a long time, the name's Ilid, which is to represent Galilee, and is always said to be Joseph Arimathea, and I think the word Illtyd has been used to disguise a lot of Illids. And it's rather quite a nice surprise and a shock, really, to find something similar to that, only being Alan Wilson is a bit of a twist to it. Okay, so Gurgen records how Illyd arrived in Wales from Rome. This is one of the areas that me and Alan disagree about the Roman thing, but there you go. Wilson and Blackett are amazingly mainstream, by the way. People, they follow the books. They are good academics. They keep on the message, you know. People just don't like what they find. You know, sometimes I sort of deviate off and try and pull things together, you know, a little bit circumstantially, if you like. Wilson and Blackett are very conservative. It's surprising how much abuse they get, because they always go through classical references and they reference them all. They show the Romans. Anyway, come on, Ross. You're on completing sentence 1. Right, 4th attempt. Gurgen records how Illyd arrived in Wales from Rome at the request of Urgain, the daughter of King Cradock, who's now remembered as Aigon and Aigen. This is why spellings are nonsense, right? Because it's spelled lots of different ways. He set up a systematic choir of 12 saints at the church, organised by the Princess Urgain and later known as the Church of Illtyd, or a Church of Illtyd, because there's quite a few. It is a possibility that this place was Clan Illyd and not Clan Illtyd. It is then this Illyd, which we always say is a man of Israel, who retired to Aberlach, and this is the bit where I almost fell off my chair. That Aberlach, I'm going to have to put a disclaimer before I read this, because I don't know how old these notes are. This is from the 80s, at least, that Alan typed this. It's hand-typed from the 80s. And he might have changed his position a bit on this. When you think of the things we've done recently with looking at Hadrian's Wall and Comyns Beaumont, I suddenly came on this. Right. Here, Illyd, the man of Israel, retired to Aberlach. That Aberlach is the area of northern England, southern Scotland, is well demonstrated. I'm trying to read the... Yes, they are pretty mainstream, yeah, I agree with you there, Enlightened Turtle. Sorry. Whether Illyd retired to the Whithorn Abbey site in Galloway or to the less possible site of Arran is conjecture. Urgain, or Aigen, as she is sometimes called, is listed as first of the female Welsh saints. We discuss her marriage and Christian connections in the volume King Arthur, King of Glamorgan and Gwent. So it must be written after that. If you're not aware of these books, I might have grabbed the wrong one. Oh, this is Charters. Kings of Glamorgan looks very similar. They're available for the website. There's not that many left. And when these are gone, they're gone, because we'll never be able to publish. It's cost them a fortune. And taken almost 40 years to sell them all. So they won't be published again. So grab them while you can. Right. And in King Arthur and the Charters, that's the one I just showed you. Right. Poetry of Martial, again a Roman source, records a lady Claudia, who he states is British. And also another work recounts the marriage of Claudia to one Pudens at this time. That's the ones you can see in Timothy 2 in your Bible, the letter to the Romans. Pudens, these people are all British holy royal family. That Martial died in the reign of Trajan is known, but just when he wrote of the lady Claudia is not. St. Paul speaks of a Claudia, or Claudia, and in fact mentions Claudia, Pudens, and one Idnus in his second epistle to Timothy, written whilst he was for the second time in a Roman jail. Other strange things include the triads of St. Paul. I didn't even know this existed. You're going to have to look these up, right? Trioedd Paul. And the sayings of Lazarus. You see, we're into Gnostic Christianity now. A lot of these books and records were removed from the Bible and not allowed in, as you'll see more about. Then there is a strange manuscript collection in the library of Merton College in Oxford, which are a series of letters between the Apostle Paul and Seneca. Right, and if you go, this is actually, you can find this on, thank you Angie for finding this, actually on Wikipedia. This correspondence of Paul and Seneca. So it is recognised. How Wilson and Blackett got to know everything, I do not know. So also the letters of Paul and Seneca, or Epistle to Seneca the Younger, is a collection of letters claiming to be between Paul the Apostle and Seneca the Younger. There are 8 epistles, that's letters, from Seneca and 6 replies from Paul. They were purportedly authored 58 to 64 AD, or Common Era, during the reign of Roman Emperor Nero, but appear to have actually been written in the 4th century. Until the Renaissance, the epistles are seen as genuine, but scholars began to critically examine the 15th century, and today they're held to be forgeries. Okay, well that's the official view on those. So you can pause if you're watching this later and read all that, or just go search for Paul and Seneca on that's Wikipedia, okay? Then there is a strange manuscript, letters between, right. Entries in these have been interpreted as alluding to the visit by Paul to Wales. Not surprisingly, these letters are held by established authority to be spurious. We doubt this. Nothing that would upset I got a bit of ranting now. Nothing that would upset the established dogmas and doctrines must be allowed to be seen as truth. So they've been proclaimed forgeries rather than, established. I think it's just as much evidence for these as many other things we look at. Right, in the Cardiff area, there are churches dedicated to Ilid, to Cundav, and to Mawan. These are ancient dedications. So just who was Ilid? The honest answer is that we do not clearly know. The Welsh had no J in their alphabet, and normally mutated words and names into their own tongue. Medieval tradition followed a then popular line that he was Ilid equals Joseph of Arimathea. Ilid does not, however, translate as Joseph. Could be the same person, by the way. We're just talking about the names here, all right? Now, it is more likely that Ilid, here goes the bombshell, is the Gnostic Gilead, with all that this entails. The Gnostics used the name Gilead as an alternative to Jesus. That Iliad, this is a bit that stuns me now, that Iliad would have moved north to Abimelech is wholly possible, as the Romans succeeded in penetrating and largely subduing the Silures, nation of southeast Wales, around 76 AD. Therefore, he may well have moved north beyond the reach of Rome. Who was Abelach, the son of Alpheus and Mary? Right, hang on a second. What have I done? It's going to jump around here now. I think this is where I've got the family trees. Oh, I haven't got that family tree. Oh, that's annoying. If you go to the Britain's Hidden Christianity, or the Where Jesus is Buried, his book, you will see there the genealogies. I need to upload them as well. Put the wrong genealogy up. Right, okay, anyway. So, that Ilid would have moved north to Abelach is wholly possible. Right, who was Abelach, the son of Alpheus and Mary? So the point is, when you look at the king's lists of the British Holy Family, at the top of it, you'll see Hywel and people like that, all tracing their way back. You'll see a marriage between, let's get this right way around now, Alpheus and Mary. Mary either being the mother or wife of Jesus, and that's what we have to try and establish here, and why they're on this family tree and how they fit in. So again, we're left simply with the name of Abelach. This is the key name, Abelach. Whilst this clearly may translate as Valentinian in Latin terms, we have to delve into his Jewish name. What is indisputable is the fact that one of the major Christian cults of the era 60 to 100 AD was definitely Valentinianism. This is again important corroboration. The notion of a son of Mary and Alpheus arriving in Britain is, we believe, based upon fact. We can read, I have it to hand, a lot more to that. Go on the website, Where Jesus is Buried. The original title I was going to have was Britain's Hidden Christianity, which I think on hindsight would have been better, because there's lots of this kind of stuff in there, but not all of this, which I wish I'd added in. If I'd known about this then, I'd have added this in as well. So what is certain is that the Welsh historical records and evidence bear no relation whatsoever to the doctrines and dogmas invented at successive church councils over the long centuries. The fact that Welsh records disagree with the dogmas invented and then discussed and voted on by religious fanatics has in the past resulted in the view that the fanatics are right, and therefore genuine Welsh historical record had to be wrong, whereas the reverse is the case. After centuries of dodging the issues, just jump in here, because there's one question here about Ptolemy. You would say the P. If you go to, it's a Greek name, and if you ask a Greek person, it's Ptolemies, exactly as it translates using hieroglyphs. Jump in there. Gnostic is to do with knowledge, and I say agnostic, I don't know. Agnostic, I know. Agnostic, I don't know. Thank you, Tony, for that. Right, so what we have then, so after centuries of dodging the issues, some truths are finally emerging. Scholarship is becoming more open. We know that Abba is Jewish for father. Now, Andrew was typing this up earlier, and he spotted that, amazingly, Abba is the same word in Taiwanese for father. Not Mandarin Chinese, but the Taiwanese local language. There's a few things about that Taiwanese local language I need to look into, because there's quite a lot coming up. So I'm going to do a Taiwan special. It'll be completely different. Anyway, the strange name of Barabbas is known to be Bar Abbas, meaning the son of the master. And the father, the master, being Abba, right? Or very like that. The Matthew Gospel names Jesus Barabbas, which is now debated as, could it be Jesus Barabbi, a title of a highly named rabbi? I think it seems a long way before the Jewish faith, but there we go. Or alternatively, as Jesus Bar Rabbi, and so Jesus the son of the rabbi. Okay, possible. Now, some propose the criminal Barabbas. This is where I want to jump in at the end. Let's make a note on this. The criminal Barabbas, to be the son of Jesus. Okay, now some propose the criminal Barabbas to be the son of Jesus. I think this is absolutely makes sense of the whole Bible when we get into this. All manner of conjecture arises, whether Abba has any connection with Abalach, or whether we have Jesus bar Abba as Jesus the son of the Father, again is a matter of conjecture. We have stated that when attempting to exhibit true and correct Welsh history, any honest author is confronted with an army of forgers and manipulators. This is where we get the vitriol now, which people love in their work, but I think puts a lot of people off. So I'm going to skip a little bit of that. They're saying you get a lot of opposition. This will be available as a download, so you can read the whole rant, okay? But the fact is that the true Welsh history does not support the concoctions required to uphold the Tudor monarchy in England. So as the Stuarts claimed the English throne by a marriage between a Stuart king of Scotland and a Tudor princess, the Stuart claim has the same basis. So the Stuart claim builds on the Tudor claim. As the Hanoverians base their claim on a marriage between a Stuart princess and a German Duke of Hanover, then their claim is that of the Tudors. So it's like a dominoes or a stack of cards. You've got the Hanoverians, from which we get our modern royal dynasties. Hanoverians claim descent because they can show their descent from the Stuarts, who claim because they can show their descent from the Tudors, who claim their justification from a very spurious story about connections to the Welsh, to North Wales. We got Llewellyn and people like that. And this is why history's been so difficult, because what you have there is that North Wales has to be shown, Gwynedd, not just North Wales, Gwynedd has to be shown to be the dominant kingdom controlling all of Wales. Otherwise, if your claim is through Gwynedd, how can you claim Wales? How can you claim Cardiff if you just got some king living up in Snowdonia? This is the difficulty. So what you have to do is transport and move a lot of the history from the populated areas where everything was happening up into the mountain stronghold. And this is supported, it's essential, because the whole dominoes start to fall. If that falls, all the dominoes fall, and it affects the current royal family, which is why it's such a problem. That's why this is so uncomfortable. You can see more uncomfortable reading some of this tonight. A little bit hot in the collar. when it starts bringing in Jewish faith, the royal family, the government. Oh dear, I just want to go for the politics as well, don't I, really? Upsetting everybody anyway. Right. So the position of the church, right, so we've seen how uncomfortable this is for the royal families. So the position of the church, however, is even more uncomfortable. The Welsh histories, if accepted as correct, pose a very serious threat to the invented dogmas of establishment religion. For centuries before the era of Charles Darwin, the church shuddered at the evidence written into Welsh history and royal genealogy. The Darwin reference, by the way, ties in with evolution and stuff, which is another subject. So I'm not sure I'm fully on board with that, but there you go. As usual, I'm not going to do a sidetrack. People say you're doing very well, you're not sidetracking yourself anymore. I beg to differ slightly with Alan Wilson that the Mabinogi showing the different levels of life is more to do with reincarnation than it is to do with evolution. But anyway, enough deep water already. So the church shuddered at the evidence written into Welsh history and royal genealogy. As usual, the preferred course of action was to simply label Welsh history as inventions or even as forgeries. And so the English developed a national habit of automatically declaring Welsh historical record to be suspect, without ever offering any proof or evidence to support the slander. They still do the same thing today, possessed of all the massive advantages of near total ignorance. Oh dear. Okay, I'll just read some of the comments there. All right, okay. One only has to look at the respect and care accorded to Irish tradition and law, and then to compare the dismissive and indeed disparaging remarks made of Welsh historical record and tradition, often by the same authors, to sense that something is very wrong. This is particularly the case where respected Irish tradition ties in with links to suspect Welsh record. So the point is there that the Welsh and Scottish historical records don't affect the English crown, but the Welsh history does, which is why it has to go. At the core, right, just getting to the even more nuts, nitsy gritty. At the core of the matter lies the difference between the ancient native brand of Welsh British Christianity and traditional Roman Christianity and its Protestant offshoots. Welsh evidence directly contradicts the central and much beloved notion of a Virgin Mary, particularly a virgin who was a virgin all through her life. As demonstrated in King Arthur and the Charters of the Kings, the whole of ancient Welsh society was organised around genealogy. This is your family tree. It's absolutely crucial, okay? Who a man was establishes clans and rights in his position. It establishes legal rights and position, and it assured him his place in society. The royal and noble genealogies were the utmost importance to the entire system, and these were kept with the most scrupulous care. Consider what this means when one of the several major descendants proclaimed by the kings and princes was the descendant from the Virgin Mary and her second husband named Alpheus. So the descent system allows for 2 lines of descent from the father and the mother. And then from that, then you've got 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, and 16. I don't think this multiplies up forever because there's a lot of intermarrying, interbreeding and stuff, but you get the idea, okay? So the kings recorded their main descent from Brutus. So Brutus comes into this now, which is also rubbished as myths and legends, which established their national superiority and right of supremacy. Lesser princes, after selected their main line of descent, to link with a claim of descent from the Holy Family, again through Alpheus and Mary. In the Welsh royal genealogies, we find that Alpheus and Mary are said to have had a son named as Abalach, or Aballach. And it is from this Aballach that descent is claimed. This is of immediate interest, as the British area known as Aballach became the Roman province of Valentia. This is where I just fell off the chair. It lays between the line of Hadrian's Wall in the south and the Clyde and Forth estuaries in the north, which is pretty much the line of the Antonine Wall, the walls we've been talking about. So whether or not Aballach and Valentinian are directly interchangeable is uncertain. Nonetheless, the area of Aballach was in the Roman designations called Valentia. Right, just going to do a quick... let's do a quick... let's try... I should have done this before the show. I do apologise. Map of... Where's it put? Valencia. Now we've got a Valencia in America. That's going to mess everything up, isn't it? Alright, okay, we won't bother with that. I'll need to look that up. Anyway, you get, the north of Scotland, you got the area between what we call the two wars, roughly. And that's where Edinburgh is. Funny enough, it ties in a little bit with that first map. Okay. Right. Right, so there's no problem in locating Alpheus in the New Testament, where he appears very clearly in the role of the second husband, we'll come on to that in a minute, of the Virgin Mary. Right, I want to show you a feature on here, which is really handy. If you're trying to do Bible quotes and that, go to KJV Bible is online org. There's King James Bible online.org. It's all public domain, so I can do this without breaking any copyrights and things. If you want to research, get quotes, all the books are there, all that kind of thing. So in this case, just quickly, we do John 19. Change that to John from Genesis. John. And I've got some more revelations from Mark 3 I need to get onto as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, check out Mark 3 at some point. See something very important in there. There's so much information being in their stuff and coming through, and other people bringing new things. It's amazing. Right, so what we're talking about here. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus, his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. So the question is, who is who? The cross of Jesus, stood by the cross of Jesus, his mother, his mother's sister, his sister, Mary, the wife of Cleophas. So his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene, okay? So this is going to unpick a bit this puzzle for us. Right. People jumping in here. Edmund Marriage. I'm not a big fan of Edmund Marriage. He does mention Wilson of Blackett. Yeah, a lot of his stuff's pretty good, but I might have another look at him. But he's obsessed with Glastonbury, which we know is it's a well-proven medieval forgery. And the trouble is, he's so obsessed with Glastonbury, I think it clouds his views and other things. So, but Edmund Marriage is interesting to watch anyway. The sister of Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Nazarene, right, this is the key, right, was Salome, Salome. And it would appear that we are being told that Mary, the mother, was with her sister Salome, right? So Jesus' mother and his mother's sister, who is the wife of Cleophas. So what we're saying is she's actually Salome, is her name. All right, why they're all called Marys is a different issue. And it would was with her sister Salome and Mary called Magdalene. All right. So the Gospels of Matthew and Mark both tell of only 3 women being present at the crucifixion. So to Matthew and Mark, they say 3 women present at the crucifixion, and they name Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, brothers of Jesus. So how can we have brothers if there's no father, if you know what I mean? Keeping this family level. The mother of Zebedee's children, which therefore is Salome, the sister of Mary, and Mary Magdalene. The whole subject has been much investigated in modern times, now that those who dare to question church dogma are no longer liable to be burned alive or tortured to death. Well, I hope that's true. Basically, there is evidence that Mary the Virgin was twice married, and that Jesus, the Nazarene, her son, had several brothers and sisters. All this completely demolishes any theory that Mary the Virgin remained a virgin before the birth of Jesus and after the birth right up to the time of his death. The evidence can be summed up in the following. And then we've got Galatians. So the great thing is, what amazes me about Alan Wilson's work is, why can't I find Galatians? Oh, there it is. I knew it was there. Galatians 1. Alright, we'll just go straight to it then. Galatians 1:19. Alright. But other of these apostles saw I none, save James, the Lord's brother. And I think some people try and argue that means brother in Christ these days rather than physical brother. Is this Barabbas the same guy Anthony Quinn played in the film that was pardoned on the cross next to Jesus? That scene ties in. Yes, you've got it. Yes, this is all part of the trade. But that is this good old Anthony Quinn. Yes, right. So this same Jesus, the Lord's brother, is described along with others as being the son of Alphaeus. So you got Alphaeus again. From this, some authors, including Donovan Joyce, infer that if Alphaeus was the father of James, then he must also be the father of James's brother, Jesus the Nazarene. The statement in Matthew 1, verse 25, so you're going to jump around again, see how great this thing is. I got my physical Bibles, of course. 25. I knew her not until she had brought forth her firstborn son. Firstborn. I suppose that could be a firstborn, but here we are. And he called his name Jesus. Right, so this is taken to imply that there was a second-born son. This is then in turn supported by Matthew 13, verses 55 to 56. I'll just read it, save looking up all the time. Is this not the learned man's son? The learned man's son. Actually, we do need to see this. Matthew 13. Hang on, Matthew 13. Isn't this wonderful facility? All right, Matthew 13. I'll come back onto that scene, by the way, about why he's called a criminal and all that. I think I've taken this, what Alan's done, a little bit further, if I dare say that. Just postulating, all right? So this is, right, so what we say is this, now what they're saying, this is not carpenter, this is the learned man's son. This is where the mistake happens. Is this not, if you look at the older versions or different translation, you see, is this not the learned man's son? Is this not his mother called Mary? And his brethren, James and Joseph and Simon and Judas, all those brothers there. And his sisters. Are they not with us? Okay. So, sorry, I have to go to Mark 6 for that. Mark 6. Just to confirm this, you can see it on here. See if you're getting your Bibles out or getting this web page open. Mark 6. Mark 6, chapter verse 3. The son of Mary, the brothers James and Joseph of Judah and Simon, are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. Mark calls Jesus a learned one, as does Matthew, who calls him the learned one's son. It seems that the word for a carpenter has been misread for the word meaning one who is learned. Without wishing to get too deeply involved, I think we're pretty deep already, in the matter of the contradictions and the inaccuracies of the four Gospels, preferred by the Church as written and edited by Eusebius in 324 AD, let us simply state at this stage that there is evidence of a marriage between Mary and Alphaeus. She was married and the husband was Alphaeus. If they had all these children without being married, it would be really strange. Even very prominent princes like Hywel, so we get back to Britain again now, Hywel of David, who died in 948, listed Alphaeus and Mary and their son Abelach as among his principal ancestors. So also did many others, and we exhibit the Hywel pedigree and that of Saint Carrick ab Gwynllw to illustrate this. Their ancestral descents begin. So you got Beli Mawr married Anna. They gave birth to Mary. Mary married Alphaeus. From that we get Abelach. Alright? If we turn to the fact that the Gnostic Church, I don't know if you say Gnostic, Luke always teases me about this. Luke, we're going to do a chat, we're going to record another interview next stage on how you can follow ancient, what do you even call them? Ancient people of the book to Britain. I'll just call them that. People of the Bible into Britain and the connections. Difference between Hebrews and Jews and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's all going to tie in with Comyns Beaumont and this, even though I'm not even sure Luke has even read those. He's done it from first sources, his own research. Absolutely fascinating and brilliantly done. Right, so the Gnostic Church of the British Isles was gradually snuffed out and its record obscured by the Catholic Church. We can introduce a further area of evidence. It is apparent that a modern secret order of Freemasons, so is anyone left on the list that we haven't potentially upset this evening? So put the Freemasons in. Now what they say here, this is another shock one, is the remnants of the oppressed Gnostic religion of Britain, which is important. Did you know that? I'd love to see some comments about that. Where does the... this is the problem when you're putting books together from Wilson and Blackett's notes. What we have to do is they all check out. Everything's always checked out. I'll tell you that straight away. But it's a long job, because if you're going to put that in a published book, you have to give some sort of supporting evidence and everything. But take it from me, these things always check out, all right, for now. I don't know how he knows this, and I'm not in the Freemasons, I don't know. But apparently the Freemasons believe that a person known as the Great Traveller, does that ring any bells to people? The Great Traveller, brought to the place called Llanryddian on the Gower, near Swansea. So anyone from Llanryddian on the Gower, the Holy Family from Jerusalem. There is therefore another strange historical tradition involved here. There is at Llanryddian, and this is where I need to... what have I done? Sorry, pressed the wrong button there. So this is a place you need to go to. So if you're in the Swansea area, or near the Gower, please have a look at Llanryddian. I think I should just type some of these names up, shouldn't I, so people can see what we're talking about here. I was so excited, I just didn't... There's so much in here to cover, I didn't know where to start, and didn't start anyway. Let's make sure I spell this correctly. Alright, oh, no, you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see it there, Llanryddian, right? So if you're near there, or you know that place, or Ryddian, I should say, Llanryddian. Alright, this is the place that the Freemasons are very interested in. And there's a place there, a strange incised symbol stone. This is of great antiquity. There is also support for the Alpheus married to Mary fact from Eusebius, the editor-author of the four Gospels, of around 324 AD. Eusebius states that the early historian Hegesippus, a Jew of Jerusalem, stated that Joseph had a brother named either Clophas or Cleophas. Joyce writes that Cleophas is the Aramaic name Halphi, which is a form of Alpheus. So we come all the way back again. The problem arises from what are literally church inventions and fabrications. It was Chrysostom, the patriarch of Constantinople, in the 4th century, who had the first bright idea that Mary was a perpetual virgin. To do this, the fiction was introduced that Alpheus was not Mary's husband at all, and his brothers and sisters were in fact simply his cousins. It was not until 431 AD that the Council of Ephesus voted and declared that Mary was Diapora, the Mother of God. Following this, some 750 years after the date of the crucifixion, the Lateran Council voted to confirm the perpetual virginity theory of the patriarch Chrysostom. Dogma had overtaken original record, and this is what happens all the time. In the same way, it's not until the Council of Nicaea set to debate the issue in 325 that Jesus of Nazarene was elected as God by a democratic vote. I say, bring it back to Britain again. Now, while all this was going on in the Mediterranean, over in Britain, far to the west, the British were pursuing their own way. They were living their lives. Right, just to make this clear there, so we've got year 0 or year 33, depending which calendar you go with, the crucifixion. Jesus surviving this in this account of things, and I'd like to talk a little bit at the end of why he became so strongly followed without the need for an actual death, which I know I want to upset everyone else. Let's just go for it, eh? Let's just go for it tonight. And I'm trying to explain what that was all about. All right, now it comes into Satanism. I'm going to be in trouble here. Right, so and how this ties back to Britain, okay? So bear with me, all right? Right, okay. So what the point I was going to make there. So you've got the year 0 or 33 at the crucifixion. The British Gnostic Church is then just following that original message. That's it. There's the original message. That's it. That's the original message. And they just keep following it. Meanwhile, outside Britain, you've got all these councils taking place and votes and discussions, and religious fanatics are throwing in different areas, and it's done by vote. You can read the records. They call them councils. Look at all the different councils and the diktats and the worms, the diets and all this. All these things are done by diktat and changes of policies. The Gnostic Church never changed. It stayed consistent. So over a few hundred years, the two are really, really different. So the one has changed dramatically through all these different votes and politics and everything else. It's considered the correct one, and the other one's a load of nonsense because it doesn't match it. That's the situation we're in, okay? Right, so while all this was going on in the Mediterranean, over in Britain, far to the west, the British were pursuing their own way. They were living their lives, recording their histories, and compiling their royal genealogies. The tradition that Abelach and his parents Alphaeus and Mary had come into Britain was very strong indeed. I'm wondering if they were there a lot more than they think. This idea of the story of the Bible being moved from Britain to the Middle East. These things make a lot more sense. If the journey could have been, say, from their home in Wales to Jerusalem, which is in Scotland, all these things seem a lot easier. Yes, a slight sidetrack. Right, and that's Alan Wilson sticks to the. You wouldn't go to those kind of outside the box things. He follows where the records tell us. So any introduction of bogus claims and descents into royal or noble genealogy would have been seized upon very quickly. You wouldn't get away with it if you're trying to claim you've got a descent you didn't have. In Britain and in Wales in particular, there was no problem of church doctrine or dogma. Not until St. Augustine arrived in Saxon territory in the southeast of England in 597. Augustine was sent by the Bishop of Rome to spread Roman Catholic Christianity in Britain, and the British would have nothing to do with it. After many wars and many centuries had passed, and English clergy and churches were established all across Wales, the old religion went underground and became the underground stream of Alphaeus. Signs and symbols remained, together with the old remembrances. I'll just do one little bit of political rant from here. Officially, the universities of England, because none remained undestroyed in Wales, the first college in Europe would have been in Llanillid, or Llanillid, or Llantwit, if you want to use the new modern version. None remained undestroyed in Wales. Began the denigration of Welsh historical record. The fact that a totally different Christianity had existed was to be obliterated. With this obliteration would go all that the original former Christianity had held and believed. Histories and genealogies which then somehow were still preserved were simply to be falsely labelled as forgeries and inventions, while the real forgeries and inventions could masquerade as truth. And so one last bit then, because this is a marvellous essay, this. Unfortunately, for the manipulators, one giant figure bestrode the stage of British history in a colossal fashion. The King Emperor Arthur. Nothing can be done that will get rid of Arthur. So again, this is why it's so important to this what we're studying. So again, England, the establishment resourcefulness comes to the rescue. This time, King Arthur was to be turned from a historical figure into a myth and legend. The thinking is bizarre. I love this bit. For histories telling of real figures, including Julius Caesar, Caradoc, King Caraun, Carausius, Constantine the Great, and Severus, and Hengist, and King Gwyddron and Vortigern, to say nothing of Magnus Maximus, bishops and saints. These histories suddenly included a totally mythical, even legendary character in King Arthur. You've got to think of it like that, don't you? You got all this history that's pretty much accepted, right? You might throw around the dates and who was where and all that kind of stuff, but they're all historical. But the biggest figure in the whole thing, he's just a myth. Why would he be there? Why would he be there? So as it says here, then after the mythical interlude of Arthur, the histories then recommence with real-life characters. Maelgwn, Brochwel of Powys and his enemy Ethelfrith, and the Welsh and Anglo kings are princes by the century load. Myths do not occur and intrude into the centre of well-known recorded histories. If myths exist, they predate the known histories. So it was that on the 2nd of May 1986, the uncovered green-hued grave slab of King Arthur at Meiring was washed clean. There revealed for the first time in many years was a great rough stone, bearing the symbols of 2 spikes at the head and a ritual hole in the side, halfway down its length. The symbols proclaimed the Son of God. A British king was proclaiming his descent from the Holy Family, as he and his people would understand it. Alright, so he goes on from there then. And I'll just jump forward a bit. Oh, yeah, I have a little bit long, I suppose. Yes, right, okay. Whatever conjectures and summaries academic historians have made, that the great King Arthur at Meiring ap Tudrig was proclaimed as the Son of God is beyond dispute. A mass of accumulated evidence from several corroborative manuscripts of impeccable authenticity led unmistakably to this buried tomb slab in the ancient foundation of Court Emrys, now St. Peter's ruined church. The Son of God symbols are in complete accord with the traditions and the royal genealogies. These signs bear out the truth of what was written in the genealogies, that Arthur died around 579 AD, indicates the antiquity of the records and traditions. Glamorgan history and tradition holds that the young Bran, son of Llyr Lledaeth, was in Rome, presumably when his great-uncle, King Caradoc ap Arch, was there from 51 to 56 AD. We are told that when Bran returned from Rome, he brought with him a religious instructor named Illid. Immediately below the mountain, where Court Emrys St. Peter stands, there lie the church of Llanillid at Trefran, the place of Bran. The mound of Illid lies alongside the church, now a rebuilt modern structure. Local names identify Kerry Longsword, you got Porthkerry, the great-grandfather of Bran. And then you got the rest of the names here. And then we've got the missionaries and the saints, and it goes on. It's absolute brilliant stuff. It's fantastic. And I'll be giving more of this unpublished Wilson and Blackett work as we go through on the Sundays and during the weeks. We've got lots of stuff to cover. Now, what I did say, go back onto this Barabbas' son. This one, a little bit of taking what we know, what Wilson and Blackett have written, and looking at the final scenes of the Bible. And this is my personal take on things now, okay? So take that as you will. I'll turn off here if you just want to see Wilson and Blackett stuff. The interesting thing, and thank you for mentioning the Anthony Quinn character, and he's the criminal, and he's the one who's going to be released. The point made, if you get the book Where Jesus is Buried, what Wilson and Blackett very cleverly work out is that in the insurrection that's taken place in Jerusalem, it became a violent, armed insurrection. This is why you have the turning. It's in the modern Bibles, you see it as turning over the money tables. What Wilson and Blackett work out is that this is an armed insurrection with swords, and they fought a battle. The Romans happened to have a garrison nearby that went in and did a lot of chopping up of people, and this is how it went. The other scene then we have is the Garden of Gethsemane, where the Judas kiss and everything, where we see a situation where a person is seen running with the robes, and then the Judas kiss to identify Jesus, and he hands himself over. Now the explanation that Wilson and Blackett have worked out, which is brilliant, is what's happened during this armed insurrection. We have had his son has been captured. This is Barabbas, so the son of the master, has been captured, and he is presumably to be executed. I mean, armed insurrection doesn't go down very well in any country, never mind ancient Rome. So he's going to be executed. Judas, brother of Jesus, goes down. He's the most trusted. This is ironic, he's called the traitor. He's the most trusted of the group, and he goes to negotiate. He negotiates then the release, and the deal is going to be this. If they hand over the son, Jesus himself, the master, will hand himself over for what was not going to be a fatal execution, but hand himself over and go into obscurity or leave or whatever, okay? Excuse me. Right. This is brilliant, okay? And you can read more of the details of that in the book and how the Bible references behind it. It all makes perfect sense. But there's a few things which have struck me, one of which, just tie a few things together. If you look at the works of Josephus, Josephus talks about an armed insurrection by the Egyptian. All right? The Egyptian. So why is he called an Egyptian? Is that Jesus? All right? My thinking on this now is that what we're looking at is a situation, and this works even better if the whole story is moved to Britain, where if you look at people like Comyns Beaumont, if you look at Comyns Beaumont, he places Egypt in Wales. Marco would put that Egypt in Cornwall. He was talking the southwest kind of area. And what we had there is that's the Egypt. And that's where the Holy Family would have gone to escape the persecution originally. Now, if we're going to stick with conventional maps and everything, they go, on the Mediterranean coast to Egypt. And that's what Alan Wilson would go with, right? He doesn't go with this bizarre, everything's moved to Britain stuff. Either way, it's the same point. Why is he called the Egyptian? Because he wasn't born there. He presumably moved there for part of his life, and then he came back then to do his missionary work back in Judea. So why the Egyptian, all right? That's the first question. And then we got the question of the sun. Now, to my mind, this ties in that if they moved to... Because in the Bible, you have the story of the infant Jesus, the birth, all these sort of Osiris scenes, all these early religious scenes, and then he disappears. You've got the scene at 12 years old where he's allowed to present to the temples. It must have been very important. You wouldn't just let any old child just talk to the senior members of the church. Then he disappears again. He comes back to his final ministry, aged supposedly around 30. So you could presume, after the persecution attempts to try and kill him when he's born, they went somewhere else, and that could be the large Jewish community in Egypt. So we're into where the Jewish community was again. This is where it gets... Go with the conventional version, or go with the It's All in Britain version. The effect's the same. Now, presumably, if Jesus was there, and as we know he's married, this could well have been where he got married. So is that enough to call him an Egyptian? See, I don't think it is. And I think we've got a problem. We've got an armed insurrection by an Egyptian. Jesus isn't really an Egyptian. So this is where people have controversy over it. So to my mind, it makes perfect sense that what you have actually is, it's there in front of us in the New Testament, that the son was born in Egypt. The son of Jesus, Barabbas, or the one who becomes Alphaeus, is the one. He's the one born in Egypt. He's the Egyptian. And he's the one leading the armed insurrection. So what you have a situation that who knows what people were thinking or their motivations at the time. But it strikes me that the Jesus character might not have been in favour of an armed insurrection and a big battle and bloodshed. He might have been given a message of peace. Seems to be in his ways. Nessene, they're very anti-violence, anti-fighting. I think it seems unlikely. This is where you have the contradiction. I shouldn't say it's unlikely. Who knows it's likely or not. It seems unlikely that he'd be the one charging down with a sword. It doesn't fit in with his lifestyle. Where his son could have been. His son could have been a proper hothead. He could have been there. He could have been the one leading the charge. Jesus might be going, no, don't start going out with swords. This is going to be a nightmare. Just the peaceful way. And this is borne out then by the scene, which is great. Their comment earlier, Tony, I think it was mentioned about the Anthony Quinn character, when this mock ceremony, obviously, where you've got the criminal, the fighter, the armed person. Do you want to release him, the person who's fighting for your independence, or do you want to free the peaceful messenger of God who claims to be the king of the Jews? And in what's almost undoubtedly a staged event, they choose Barabbas, and he gets freed, and Jesus has to suffer. So whichever way you look at it, it's a trade between a father and a son. And to my mind, that explains the Egyptian link, and explains why there was violence, and explains that. Now, I do try and avoid subjects like this, but the satanic thing, another book I've been reading, my goodness, I'm reading a lot at the moment, is... where's the book gone? Oh, it doesn't matter. Book by Mark Devlin, which I highly recommend. It's called Musical Truth. And I was lucky, I shared a platform with him at the event that Martin Leaker organised in Birmingham. And Mark Devlin did a presentation on music industry. Not an area I normally go into at all. So I don't want to go into deeply. I want to get this channel shut down for a subject which is not core to what we're doing. But in politics, you'll see it, and particularly in music and theatre and things like that, particularly music, you will see this, the deal. You've got the whole 27 Club and that kind of thing. So you have the struggling, unknown, penniless musician, goes right back to the 1920s, the original guy this happens, the crossroads, where the devil offers a choice. And the choice is you can have great glory and success and money and wealth and all those material things that you want, but it'll cost you your soul. Are you going to take the deal? And the other tragic thing is there seems to be a price, and there's a blood price, and the price is someone you love very close to you, usually a child. And Mark points out that if you go back to Cameron, I think it is 4 British prime ministers in a row had all lost a child. So, I'm not saying anything, I'm not getting into conspiracy stuff or anything like that. This is just presenting facts. And if you go through all the tragic deaths and all the musicians dying at 27, which is 2 add 7 is 9, it's a Druidic number. All these things come in, all right? So we're into a serious, dangerous era. When I read that book and read all this and tying together all this extra information, what it strikes me, this is my closing thoughts, are getting late, 20 to 10, is that Jesus is made the same offer. You got that 40 days in the wilderness, representing his time. He's got nothing. He's hungry, starving. And if you read in the Bible, the devil Satan presents this option to him. You can have everything. You can rule the whole world. You can have wealth, kingdoms, fame, everything. And Jesus turns that down. And then the second part, as I see this, is that he's then offered. This is the situation described around the crucifixion. And what makes Jesus special? He's then offered everything again, but it'll cost him his son. And the difference with Jesus to a lot of the people who've gone down this route, sold their soul, if you like, is that Jesus wouldn't take the deal. He wouldn't trade his son. He said, no, you're not sacrificing my son just for me to have my material successes. And that's why he hands himself in and does the deal, and the son is released. And this is why I think it's so important. And these are the 2 key scenes from the whole New Testament: the temptation, the offer of greatness, and the offer of the son sacrifice, which is actually the son of Jesus. And then the whole thing moves back, and we're into the British, who that son was, and how he becomes so important for British history. So there you go. There's one for you to think about. I'm not preaching. I'm not ramming this down anyone's throat. And I'm not trying to affect or interfere with people's faith. I should say at the beginning. I meant to say at the beginning of the programme, please don't take this as an attack on anyone's faith or religion. It's just throwing up things, different ways of looking at things, if you like. And hopefully it's evidence-based, and it's treating this as an academic exercise rather than a preaching exercise. So there we are. I hope I didn't go into too deep there. I'm fascinated to see the comments. What I'll do, I'll bring this to a close in a minute, and I'll do what I did last week. I thought it was really good fun. I'll finish my bit, and then I will then trail back through the comments a bit and have a read what other people have said, because it's just me thinking out loud, and sharing thoughts. And I'm sure there's better informed and clever people on there explaining where I've got this all wrong. But that seems to be the key message, and it makes sense to me then. You think, because the obsession in the church with the acts of Jesus are everything except the crucial one. That's why I look at it. It's what was he really doing, and this the miracles and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they can be shown to be retellings of earlier stories. Or if you're Fomenko, the earlier stories came later, but let's go with that situation. And it's not the important thing. The important thing was clearly his message was, do not give in to the temptations, do not sell your soul. There is a better way. And, look what I went through to avoid that. I was thinking nails banged through me, a crown of thorns, I was whipped, I went through all this, I'm crippled, I'm becomes the Fisher King. And I've still survived. And I'd rather do that, and that is the way to do it, than have everything in the world given to me, but it cost me my son. It's kind of like a lot of things, the church is upside down in a way, isn't it? The son of the father, and the father, because why would a loving God put his own son through all that? Is one of those contradictions you get. Anyway, so I'm sure we'll Luke will put me right on all this, and he's got some brilliant things to say, so hopefully get that up very soon. All right, so next week, I am hoping, how about this for a Fandangle cover? How cool is that looking? This is going to be the, well, you can see what it says there. Original Odyssey, how an ancient Egyptian circumnavigated the world in 632 BC and gave Homer his story. Wilson and Blackett, yeah, I got to put my name on the front. Alan insisted, so you got to put your name on it, you know. So, and I had to put my name on this one because one of the things people say is not just showing off putting your name on a book, it's taking responsibility. So if you put something, I want my name on it, you know, I'll stay anonymous, you know, I don't want the glory. Like, no, you got to put your name on it because then people say, oi, who wrote this rubbish, you know? Who do I go and tell? So you have to put your name for this. Two reasons why you do it. It's a responsibility thing. So I'll just read the little blurb I've written for the back. Might get changed. Was the fabulous voyage made by the sea captain Odysseus Ulysses fiction, or was it real? The pharaoh Necho II, alias Ramesses II, rewarded a sea captain for a much-quoted voyage of circumnavigation that began in the Red Sea, sailing southwards, and took 3.5 years to complete. The successful sailor arrived back home in Egypt by passing through the Straits of Gibraltar and sailing eastwards to the Mediterranean shores of Egypt. The crew had to stop and plant grain crops on their journey, and they arrived home in triumph. The 19th century decipherers naturally assumed that the circumnavigation meant a voyage around the continent of Africa. They did not, however, think of associating this remarkable 3.5-year seagoing journey with Homer's Odyssey. Or that they went round the world, not round Africa. It's round the whole world. And this book shows that Homer returned his characters from Troy to Egypt and then wove them into a retelling of this ancient Egyptian tale. So, Trojan Wars, we got 2 of those, all this kind of stuff. He's taken the characters and moved them into this Egyptian story, which all becomes even more interesting when you look at if this was, you know, what was where. It gets so complicated, doesn't it? We then move on to exploring any evidence that might confirm or deny. There's the bit I've been doing. Spare time, because obviously there's not much going on, is it? Confirm or deny the journey was possible and indeed took place. And one of the things I'd recommend anyone look at, if you've got a bit of spare time, is the Thor Heyerdahl expeditions, where he takes, like, first of all, Kon-Tiki, you might have heard of. The balsa wood boat, he swims that, sails it, I think across the Pacific. And then the ones really caught my eye are the Ra expeditions, and where he makes a boat out of reeds and sails it across the Atlantic. Fantastic. I saw it. This is when serendipity comes in, right? A local co-op. Oh, very generous gift. Thank you very much, Pineapple Head.
Pineapple Head.
You know Pineapple Head?
I know someone called Pineapple Head.
Well, I don't think you know this one, do you? Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you very much. Nice to get a contribution. And thank you. And, yeah, in the local co-op, right, where they have this thing where you can take old books and, you know, you hand them in and people take them out and you're supposed to give a donation to charity and all that. Okay, and I was able to browse through. Which is not very often. But anyway, a few months ago, and usually it's all, you know, what usual books, autobiographies, famous stars and romances and all the usual stuff that people get rid of. I was there one day and this absolutely battered copy of the Ra expeditions. Ra, like the Egyptian Ra, with the boat on the front and everything. Well, I'm putting together the original Odyssey stuff. Like, I'm going to have a look at this. And I'd hear the Kon-Tiki, and I knew a bit about it and everything, but man, I am so glad I've another book to go to read. It's big, so I've not read all of it. And I did this thing. I'm just going to say, before people think I'm a complete weirdo. Where's the Ra? That must be in the kitchen, I think, isn't it? Because I don't know where I've left it at the moment. Anyway, it's quite a thick book, all right. And I did this a few nights ago, and I was like, I need to. There's some information I need in here. I can't read this huge book, so I'm gonna just think. All right, show me where to open it. And I opened it, and it was bang on, because the one bit that said it talked about this circumnavigation around Africa, and he mentioned it, and he mentioned Necho and all that. I'm like, I don't believe it. It's in this book. Yeah, he's actually got it in there. And then the other thing it talked about as well then was some other bit I really wanted to know about, which is and then he talks about the trade currents and how you do the journeys, and I was like, okay. So I have not read all the book, but by sheer whatever, I just read the books I most needed, and I will try to read all of it at some point. There's some good videos on YouTube. But anyway, I'm rambling now.
I'm done.
Right, you're going to play us out, Arnie B?
Yeah, but with
I'm going to go back through the comments in a second. Gosh, another donation. Thank you very much.
The same one. There's a question attached to it.
Just found your channel a week ago. Very interesting. Where shall I start? Well, that's a good question. Well, what David is doing, which is a bold enterprise. David, who took me out today, showed me the sites in Bather and Tarandoisant and things like that. Thank you for that, passing that question on, Arnie. He's gone back to the first broadcast, the live one, and he's working his way through. And I warn you now, the production of some of the early ones are really terrible. Microphones failing, lights going out. Some disasters, wasn't it? So
You didn't have the screen share in the first one?
no, I couldn't do the screen share. Yeah, maybe start about 4 rather than 1, but we'll talk about it. There's a whole set of books, though. I'll just do a quick screen share. Thank you very much for asking. What a lovely question. And I have to answer that question. And the place to go for all the stuff, hang on a second, a quick screen share. If you go to cumroglyphics.com, and you can see all the books. If you want to order some books, and that's what I'm talking about a lot tonight, Where Jesus is Buried. I should have called that Britain's Hidden Christianity, brackets, also includes Where Jesus is Buried. But all these books, you're not going to know where to start as well, I suppose. And one thing I would like to point out to people is that, hang on, I have to keep turning this off, just so I have to make sure what I show you is correct before I jump in. So if we go to, hang on, you're going to get me shouting out a second. Right, what I'd recommend is go to the playlists. Hang on, there we go. So if you go to this channel you're on now, all right, is go to playlists, all right? Playlists is the best place to start, I think. Because then you've got, I've tried to organise, because there are hundreds of videos, all right? So, for example, all the Bible knowledge tied in with the legal contract we've got with the Bible, and, as Luke says, whether you take it seriously is up to you. That you don't have to play the game, the devil is, kind of thing. All right, so we got all the way back to Genesis and stuff. We can go with the first zodiac with Hugh Evans I mentioned. Stuff about bardism and druids. You can see all the different things, kind of Arthur conspiracy. There's Robert Shaw list, Architecture of Power. I should put his name on that. So there's loads and loads of playlists, which is probably the easiest thing to go through. Dating myths, which is not how to get a girlfriend. That's about chronology and things. Things like, basically it's Velikovsky, most of that. There's just loads. This is the one I think I would recommend, obviously, is go to Alan Wilson. These are the main, right down the bottom, it's typical, right down the very bottom. It's Alan Wilson talking about stuff, because he's the man, and he's got this amazing charisma and brilliant brain who's worked all this stuff out. I'm just picking crumbs and trying to put his work out. And then visits the sites a lot of people like, because that actually, hang on, let's just show you the list.
Yeah, I'm going to call it right now. I think I
blinking adverts. Don't want you. Go away, you. Oh, no. Hate that. I don't want the video. Oh, sorry. View full playlist. That's what I meant to click. Sorry about that. So if you scroll down there, you'll find loads and loads of places. St. Kenneth, Star Mounts and things like that. And just visits loads of places. It's cool. So there we go. So there's some ideas of where to start, all right? Okay, right. I'm going to say goodnight to Arnie now. Oh, you haven't got school tomorrow, have you?
No, I don't have school tomorrow. I can stay here.
No, I can still go to bed. Yeah, anyway. Your brother's going to go to bed. You're going to play us out with something nice, Arnie B?
I don't know.
Oh, you got your violin. Is Leon around to play us out, mate? Oh, no, we're going to be reduced to me singing in a minute if we haven't got any musicians. Leon's always keen. Oh, Xavier, are you going to play us out, Sam, or is Leon?
Leon.
Oh, Leon's very keen to play us out. Here we go. Poor Leon, he's on crutches, mate. He's on crutches for over a week now. That's probably 2 weeks, isn't it? Well, crutches for a week, but you're bad for a week and no one believes you for the first week. Yes, we did, all right, you stayed home, but you got this crutches so you could move around. Can we see you, Leon? Look at his happy face. He loves performing in public. Right, so I'm going to go around there. Goodness knows where he's going to play us. But thank you very much anyway for joining the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, all contributions and book sales. Buy a book, buy a gift, make a donation. That's all that keeps us going. What was that noise then? Right, okay, so let's do a little bit of discussion with the comments now. So there'll be no more new content, okay? I promise. I know I have a habit sometimes. Oh, I remember something else. I won't do that tonight. So if you want to go to bed, I quite understand. North Star, God bless. I mean, that's almost 2 hours, my goodness. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. We're just going to have a chat about the comments, all right? It's going to be good fun sometimes. Oh, right, how far back shall I go? Oh, my goodness, there's so much tonight. All right, I'm not going to go all the way back. A Trinity of Marys. Yeah, we'll go back as far as that. Yeah, you have to wonder if the word name Mary means something else rather than just being a name. So notice this. If you notice that King Arthur, he's got 3 wives, all called, well, Gwynoesig, sort of like Guinevere. That's a bit strange as well, isn't it? Alright, okay, what we got there? I think it's 4 women, not 2. It would be unusual for Mary to have a full sister called Mary. Yeah, that's why I think... Okay, I get your point, David. Yeah, that's why I'm not... The name's not real. Yeah, I don't think the name Mary's real. If you're still there, Brad Kemble, if you could explain... you can play, sorry, if you want to. I was going to do a big good night. I usually do a big good night tonight. But I'm going to do a little bit of chatting afterwards. I'll do a big good night. We won't actually turn the camera off, okay? So thank you very much, everybody, for coming on this evening. What's this? This rings a bell. Oh, I don't know what that is. It sounds cool anyway. Leon just sort of jingles away. Sometimes he makes them up, sometimes he plays something written down, so I don't know. Can you hear the music right on?
Yep.
And you hear me as well, is it? Right, I'll keep going then.
Yep.
Right, yes, Ross, I agree. Monica, that's Edmund's weak spot, Glastonbury. But I think he is right concerning Jesus or Yesi being... Thank you, Leon, wonderful.
Pirate
Right,
Stomp.
the Pirate Stomp, thank you. North Star, everyone, right? So as I say good night and hedwch, peace, hedwch. The trouble is I missed the comments. I have a ramble through. Good night, boys. Good night, good night. I won't be long. I shall come and tuck you in. Right, okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I like Edmund marriage as well, but he's just got this obsession with everything being in... and you have to be prepared to look at ideas sometimes, don't you? It's like this, when... got the books and everything. I'm saying, it's the Christian stories of South Wales, and you read Alan Wilson notes, and actually this bit's in Scotland. And I'm coming around to this Comyns... I wasn't a big fan of Comyns Beaumont, but I really am coming around to this idea that Edinburgh's Jerusalem. I tell you, that's... and then... Yeah. How much more Comyns Beaumont can I do before I get shut down as well? There we go. Right. Oh, Monica. Right. I also doubt there was a Mary Magdalene. She would rather be Boudica than Magdalene. The name or title of Magdalene sounds Germanic to me. Maybe a Frankish invention. Yeah, I always think Magdalene sounds like a title or a name, doesn't it? Or Magdalene, however you say it. The Essene Gospels are very British in character. Yeah, I tend to think that's Marshall. I tend to agree with that. You are God. Tap in. Oh no, I lost my place. Sorry, I was trying to scroll down without a scroll down thing. Oh, I can do it on here. It'd be easier. That's a bit easier. I'm trying to use one of those weird little buttons. Excuse me a second. I've got to go back a bit. Right. How far back are we going to go? Right, here we go. Yes, that's where I was. Right. David Church. James Tabor, might enlighten us on this one. He has much studied the Holy Family. I've asked him to get in touch with Ross about the early church in Britain. Ah, okay. Yes, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yes, please. Yes, that'd be good. I could do an interview or something. I always like to hear other people's views. We're all on a quest of learning. And that's a big part of... I don't know what Essene culture, I shouldn't say that, but definitely the Druidic thing is your journey. Your life is a journey of knowledge. You're given this brain and this information. You've got to use it and find things. Always be learning, keep finding your purpose in life and what it's all about. And this is where that slight disagreement, I suppose it's disagreement, but it's not meant like that, with Alan Wilson. He says that the Mabinogi showing the different levels, like from amoeba up to animals up to humans being the highest form of life, is sign of evolution. I don't really go with that. I'm not really into evolution anyway, but I would go with that. That's the reincarnation. If you come back with a bad soul, as it were, you come down lower the chain and you move back up again. Very much like the Buddhism system, isn't it? You got Buddhism and Bardism, it's almost the same word. And Sanskrit and Welsh, so much of it's interchangeable. Pendraig, look to the stars for the answer. The answer's in the stars. Well, it seems very important to the ancients, doesn't it? All these temples facing stars and sunrises. As is with the Mabinogion, the Bible is the same concept. Jesus is just a story in the Christian version of the Mabinogion. Wow, that's an interesting way to look at it. Oh yeah, just reminded me at some point I have to do Alan Wilson analysis of the Old Testament, which does fit in with a lot of what you're saying there. Explains how a lot of that is again astronomical, which again does not mean the real characters did not exist. This again, some of it's an allegory and some of it's historical records. You have to be able to unpick them. We vibrate, yes, we do indeed. Yes, we're going to try and get to a higher vibration. Now everything's trying to drag us down. David Church, Magdala is Hebrew and Aramaic. Do you know what? I think we should actually we'll do it now. It's not fair knows what we got to bed, but Magdala. Has anyone actually looked at it? Well, I'm going to look. I can't stop myself. Come on, Welsh speakers out there. Like, the trouble is, I'm miles behind the comments now. Marchell says Magdalene is Magda, which means tower, allied to German Mädchen, which is the same as maiden in English. Okay, that makes sense. Is there an MAG word in Welsh? In the Old Welsh, by the way, not the new dictionaries. This is 1803. A lot more fun with this one. I've been looking up Babylonian translations based on what Alan Wilson says, and it's like, oh, it sends a shudder. I can't wait to get onto that one. But I did promise no more tonight. Mag, the act of rearing, bringing up or educating. Rearing, education, nurture is mag. It's interesting, isn't it? Magaden is a nursling. Wow. All to do with nurses. The Magaduriaeth, the act or office of one who nurses, rears, or brings up. Wow, how about them onions? Maybe, oh, gosh. There's too much to get my head around at the moment. Getting a bit late for my brain, but there we are, something to think about. It would sound Frankish due to Frankish being derived from ancient British like Greek was. There you are, David Church. Tony, I can't read the second bit. Tony Roberts. God resides in us all, Sophia Wisdom, or the Kundalini Serpent. You all have to be awakened to it. Yeah, I'm coming around to more of that. I'll try and, yes. And Luke explains quite a bit of that if you go to the Luke playlist. Ra is, right, Enlightened Turtle. Ra is the sun, yet Geb and Nut are creation. However, Anu is Lord or the sky, and his sons Enki and Enlil allegedly had a conflict over human creation itself, hence the Sumerian flood myth. Right, okay, thank you for that information. Mr. PH30, virgin means a Norwegian, young, unmarried. And so Butik Kjomfri was a long-used store title. All right, thank you. Just like stepping off the porch there. Cheers. Like Turtle, I believe all the gods ultimately originate from India. It's the same pantheon. That's DJ Lee, sorry I said that, DJ Lee. Yeah, Wilson Black's position is that, or the British position I think really, is that the languages and everything all started from the Middle East and went to places including India, which is why you can see the links between the languages because they share a common origin rather than going from one to the other. Comyns Beaumont, and before him Wadell, are quite adamant that the Aryans brought these messages and words and gods and everything to India. And that's where I tapped into the caste system and everything. So there you go. The trouble is, you get into those areas, you're immediately put into the racist category. You know, some bits of... You can't just academically analyse some things. Yes, some history states that Joseph, husband of Mary, was a stonemason or carpenter. Yeah, well, have they got that right? This is the question, isn't it? Indian gods, the Sumerian pantheon. What's amazing is lots of these things, pantheons are the same, aren't they? Hello, Ross, and all the time. Nice to be here. It's Dane Ironside. Hey, Dane, how you doing, Dane? Good to hear you. Good to see you. I hope you appreciate this. There's a lot of Scotland on tonight. I'm moving things to Scotland. He's been nagging me for ages. I should have mentioned you. I can understand. Right, okay. The Essay and Gospels are very British in character, yes. Do you believe the Mahabharata was the Trojan War? Right. I'll come back to that one another time. Was the Mahabharata... Yes, it's great questions. Was the Mahabharata the Trojan War? That's a brilliant question. Could well be. Could well be. Very interesting. Yeah, that'll make a lot of sense. Or what I should say is the Mahabharata, a rewritten account of the Trojan War. We think there's at least 2 Trojan Wars being conflated. This is where you get a bit of confusion. We'll go into this more next week with the Odyssey thing. So you've got the original war in Britain, probably about 1100 BC, and then this later medieval war around, what's generally referred to as Troy, below Istanbul, sort of Western Anatolia. Gary Taylor, hey. Does anyone here have the number to the Akashic records? I don't know what you mean by the number to it. 741. Owen here, one of the lost 10 tribes they were. Yes, quite possibly. Where the tribes went, and as Alan says, they were never lost. They always knew exactly where they were. Marshall Abrahams, David Church. Oh, a thoroughbred in his or first race is still called a maiden. Yes, horse racing. It's still called the maiden chase and stuff, don't they? Shakespeare's hidden codes and his finds in star maps. Oh my goodness. Don't throw me down another rabbit hole. Currently trying to read about 5 books a week at the moment. And it's I got a lot better at reading fast. And I tell you, you can surprisingly remember more. What you have to do is talk to each other. You talk, like, when you sit here and do this show, for instance, in like 2 hours, you kind of use this, Don't really have any notes. What notes do I have? Oh, I wanted to mention Valmai, and of course I read the notes tonight. Actually, I did cheat tonight. Yes, I did have typed notes tonight. Right, there's a few discussions. David Church, big-headed of them to think they can take decisions about who is God and what God wants us to believe. Yeah, isn't it amazing? They had a vote about whether or not Jesus should be considered a God, to deify him. And it's even worse than that, because apparently one of the groups that were on the way to the vote were delayed and weren't there, and they held the vote without them before they'd arrived to make sure they had the majority. Well, not they changed the date or brought it forward. The key thing was Constantine was to get everyone just to agree. Just agree. One empire, one world, one religion, Zeke. Very much like going in the world at the moment. One, what's it called? Baha'i or something, isn't it? One global religion, one global language, one global government. There we are. Go for it, Ross is brilliant. Oh, thank you very much. Right. There's a channel here, Enlightened Turtles, recommending called GTA Soul. GTA Soul. Okay, if you're going to tell us more about that. Antiquity of the British Church was 3 times affirmed in the councils. Yes, Martin Louvain talks about that. There's a Japa in Edinburgh. What would Jonah say? I'll tell you, there's so much stuff in Edinburgh. It's really... I should do more on Comyns Beaumont one of these weeks, the Edinburgh thing, because it's fascinating that he is winning me over. I was really sceptical about him. You have to be prepared to move your position. And the biblical descriptions of Jerusalem, the hill and the sea and all this, it doesn't match the one in the Palestine, whereas Edinburgh does, and has all the places their name as well. I got to do the Atlantis episode as well, and like I said, I like to. We talked about it already, but it's very convincing arguments. But again, I think he takes extra bits, which I think he's over-egging it, or taking things too far. Right, Freemasons are Gnostic. The G stands for Gnosis. Yeah, they have that kind of G, don't they? It's like the measuring thing, isn't it? I can't remember what it's called. So maybe throwing in the J was to confuse people and find it hard to trace the names. Yeah, Nance Hardwick. I'll tell you what, that's not. It could well be. Just stick a J on the front to ruin it. Because in Welsh, Jesus is still Iesu, I-E-S-U, still Iesu to this day. Ross, when are you going to talk about Jesus in the Talmud? Luke, you can talk about Jesus in the Talmud. We'll speak to you tomorrow. I have not read the Talmud. I'll tell you what, Alan Wilson reads all these books and seems to memorise them. I know he does it. He knows the Bible better than anybody I know. Anyone who thinks this kind of stuff is an attack on religion is wrong. It's a digging in to try and find out what Christianity and all that is really about. That's what it's about. It's not saying the whole thing is nonsense. Quite the opposite. It's saying really read it and look literally and, find out what the real message is. I think Luke and Brad are going really well for a conversation about Kabbalah and all that kind of stuff. Pendraig, on the 25th of December, the sun rises, is born in line with the 3 kings, Orion's belts, following the Sirius, i.e. Jesus is the sun. Yeah, we've got another book all about that to come as well, Origins of Religions, what it all means. Sounds like you're pretty close already. There's a book recommended by Marshall Abrahams. Robert Temple's book, The Serious Mystery. I don't know that one. Enlightened Turtle. Good hustle here. Marshall, the Dogon is said to be descended from the Argonauts. Right, Luke. Luke's always Pendraig, saying yes to Pendraig. Christ is the Son. It is Apollyon of Revelation 9:11, the angel of the bottomless pit. Thank you, Luke. Good to have you on board live. I'm uneducated, but I've been dead, baptized in the light. It says baptized in the light, being you alive, or is that making you dead? I've been baptized, so I'm curious. It's a genuine question. I'm not being that sarcastic. Steve P. Roberts. Vedic sacred geometry was a good experience. We tried it a month later. Yeah, where did that? I don't know much about the Vedic. I think Luke might know about that stuff. Abaddon is the same as the Welsh Abred, says Marchell. Right, I think more about that tomorrow night. The bottomless pit is the abyss. And the pharaohs called themselves kings of the abyss, a feminine and hugely important concept opposite to the masculine mountain. Thank you, Marchell. I think those two, I get those two together, I think they're going very well. Isn't he part of the A-team? Thank you, Pedroic. Right, I think it's bedtime for me now, I think. Did Egypt not extend to the Levant? Yes, in theory, but where is the Levant and where is Egypt is the questions. So who would Enki be? Poseidon, Zeus. I thought Thuti, Thoth, Hermes was Enki in such beliefs. That's a huge one. That's a whole evening's discussion, isn't it? Pendraig, Luke, I'm a fan of your work. I'm looking forward to the continuation of the videos on the topic. It's fascinating stuff. So there we go, Luke. We've got to do it tomorrow night. I know I've got to get back to you with the time. Sorry I kept you waiting. Mr. PH30, did Gary Taylor half human, thank you. Did some of the Roman nobility marry into the Holy Family? And then so not to make the in-laws upset, or that Fire Eyes Mary angry on my doorstep before the 5th rooster call. Brilliant. And I know many a true word spoken in jest, but the nobility definitely married it to get that holy bloodline, because it gave them legitimacy then for their descendants, their children, if you like, to be the rulers, because you had to be. That's why I have so many saints in place names in South Wales, St. Fagans and everywhere, Saint, because the saints were royal. They had to be part of the holy bloodline, so saints were actually descendants from Jesus, is the way they saw it. Not as different to the Catholic model where, for good acts or whatever, you can be, is it beatified is the word, isn't it? Yeah. I keep the missus happy, though. I like that idea. You got my sense of humour. David Mosley. Cor M. Rees, the choir or circle of the diademed crowned ruler. At the time it was Tithfalt. Yes, bang on. Yep, David knows his Wilson and Blackett. We're going to put a video together, David and I, with some great shots of all that area there. Well, particularly St. Peter's Church and everything. Right. Wow, so many comments. Oh dear. Let's keep it friendly. Oh, it is friendly. It's very good. I recommend, if you watch this on playback, read the comment chats. All right, scroll through whatever you have to do. Ian Briggs, greetings. Never chatted before anywhere live. I reckon the comments tonight have been really good. Marcel is outstanding. Yes, I agree. Tony says, half human, half god is a Nephilim. We get into all that stuff then, isn't it? I'd say I'd love to get into origins of... Right. Right, okay. Alright, this is... Right, okay, Gold Pond. Here's another name. Gold Pond, welcome aboard. I think I've read your comments before. Jesus was a teacher of knowledge. He showed the way for people to switch a light on inside, to show people what they already had inside them. Yes, I think that makes much more sense to me. Rather than this, the main message you seem to get in churches is one of fear, isn't it, and damnation, and it's everyone's going to hell if you don't do this, that, and the other. You've got to try and, that's what I try to say, the comments I'll say friendly, you're going to need this positive, happy, positive energy. Music's good. Sing. You don't have to be good at singing. All those people who watch this channel for a while know how lousy my singing can be. But I love singing. And I got, right next to my desk, maybe off camera, I got my guitar, and I play a bit of music. And yes, I'm retuning my instruments to the higher frequency. I can't remember the technical details. Arnie reckons I'm tone deaf and can't count at the same time as well. So anyway, but these high raising our frequencies now is definitely important, and it keeps you positive. There's so much depression and sadness in the world. So, right, Luke, I love the etymology of words and no religious bias. And don't came. Okay, all right. I think they're having a bit of a ramble or something. Right, Penn's right. Jesus was to depict the start of the age of Pisces. Yes, Moses depict the age of Aries. Don't forget, we had the bull worshippers, didn't we? So you've got Taurus in there. Yeah, hence the story of the bull being worshipped and Moses having to go to Israelites. Yeah, spot on. That's a big part of the get it right? Oh, God. Some people get offended if you say astrological instead of astronomical. Anyway, the grand procession of the Earth through the different star signs and the eras can be seen in the Bible. That's definitely part of it, true. There's more to it than that. A lot more to it than that. Wait till that book comes out. That's the trouble with every waking hour. So I need people to help. If you can become a member, I'm trying to think of all different ways of raising some funds to keep this going and all that. The books, and thank you, Pineapple Head. Donations are always great. Right, Golden Pond or Gold Pond. The unconscious did that to Jesus. God, the essence would not do that. The essence is all being, doesn't have sides like right or wrong. Yeah. David Church, was there already Welsh, Maori in New Zealand when the Odyssey got there? I don't know about that, but there definitely seems to be hieroglyphs and markings out there, which I would love to see and see if we can translate them using hieroglyphics. But unfortunately, particularly the Maoris, you have to say this, I know everyone thinks it's all very cuddly and everything, they have gone out of their way to destroy the Waitaha and the other supposedly white inhabitants of New Zealand before the Maoris turned up. And don't forget, the Maoris only came a few hundred years ago. It's not like Australia. No one's claiming the Aborigines have been there for thousands. The Maoris have been there for thousands of years. And caves and that with drawings in them, actually bulldozed with stones to block them so you can't see them anymore. So it's very, very difficult to find out. And I'd love to know, because that ties in the Odyssey as well. Richard says, if you want to start with a book, start with The Holy Kingdom, Adrian Gilbert. Yeah, that's one we don't sell, but I'd agree. Who's right? It's very well written. Adrian Gilbert's a very good writer. He does duck a lot of the really controversial areas might have gone into tonight and everything. He steers away from a lot of it, but he gives a really good, well-structured summary of the whole thing. Yeah, it's okay to exchange different opinions. Good to see. Yes, it's good to see. Yeah, Marshall and Luke got different ideas on things and enjoying exchanging their positions. That's what it's all about. Enlightened Turtle, this is an example of a potential divergence from W&B. If one takes Greek copied manuscripts as real history, it's open for debate, of course. Yep, please, I've never seen this as a cult, and I think Alan Wilson would be horrified if no one questioned or took his work further or looked at things like that. It's not a cult. I think people outside say, you have to go word for word. No, it's okay to have discussion, different views. That's how we get somewhere, isn't it? And clarify our arguments, our thoughts. Right, Penzrigh. Oh, a lot from Penzrigh tonight. Oh, Richard, I just got a copy and I'm coming to the end for the first time. Mr. PH30, sorry I missed something. Heyerdahl saying that reed-boats could be built very large and transport many tons of food and more people than several ships on one boat. You can go as big as you like on a reed boat, and the bigger you get, the better they are, actually. It's absolutely fantastic. Go on, you're on YouTube now, so you want to watch something, look for, it's called the RA, just R-A, no H in it, like you spell it in Welsh. RA Expeditions. To me, it's just, my hats are off to them. I mean, this is a great example, right, where Heyerdahl said he reckons they sailed across there in reed boats, and that's how you got a transmission or a diffusion of cultures and races. Originally, he was looking at from South America to the Pacific. And again, he's tracing this idea of, God, dare I say it, even white people moving around, going to Easter Island and all these places. And they could do it using reed boats. And all the experts say, absolutely not, it's impossible, because the salt water would destroy the reeds and it would fall apart. Lucky to last 2 weeks. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And he did it. And he showed that, because the way the reeds work and seeing the ends and all this kind of stuff, they last for months, and the boats are amazing, going through storms and all sorts of things. And they still say it's rubbish, even though it works, In theory, it doesn't work. The fact you can show it in practice is totally irrelevant. It doesn't work. We've decided, okay? They call his methods unscientific, unacademic. Oh, there's one quote. I should save this for next week, the Odyssey. But one thing, I think it's on Wikipedia, if you look up Thor Heyerdahl on there, and he says he realised very early on he was just getting battered by the academic community and getting nowhere, so he just concentrated on writing books for the general public and making films for the general public and going that way to get his message across. And I was thinking, yeah, that's bang on. That's bang on. A good place to start is the interview with Alan Wilson by Theo Chambers. Yes, Justin Black. And if you go to the playlist, when you finish watching this, if I ever come to an end, is there you'll see where Alan Wilson talks, and in there is an interview with Theo. And I'm in touch with Theo. He might even be watching tonight. And there's some great chats with Theo. And he thinks he's got an interview somewhere which isn't on YouTube or anywhere. And he's trying to find it, and he's have to transfer it and digitalise it. And I'm like, please, got an interview with Alan. It's not been broadcast. I really, please, Theo, so if you're watching this, please. I'll come to your house. I'll dig through your cupboards and find it, the video. It's an old VHS or something. So, Alan Wilson by Theo Chambers. It's in the Alan Wilson playlist. Go through the Alan Wilson playlist, the best. You hear it from the horse's mouth. Right, okay. Right, okay, I think that's enough for today, I think. Right, would you consider producing a chronology-type video portraying events as you understand to bring the uninitiated up to speed? Thank you for the request there. Ganana Itvara. Is that a silent G? Is it Nana? I like to pronounce all the letters. Itvara. I'm making a note. I'm actually making a note here. Look at that. I've got like notes. Yeah, producing a chronology. See, this is whose chronology? A chronology type. Yeah. I mean, I've touched on this with Velikovsky and things. Because then Fomenko, the Russian historians, they're taking massive chunks of history out. Yeah, I need to work on that. You're right. We do need to get some sort of overview. This is the basic framework. But then if you bring in Comyns Beaumont, this happens to it. If you bring Wilson and Blackett into it, this happens to it. If you bring Fomenko into it, this comes out of it. And let's see where we are, shall we? Great show. See you tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow morning we're going up to Eglwys Sill and Common. More great stones up there. Don't forget, sign the petition. I'm sure we get more than 500 signatures. Come on. Right, okay. Whoa, hang on, last couple of comments. If Wilson and Blackett was a cult, I would say I have one foot in it. As the volume of research is immense, alas, some parts of their work is subjective. Yeah, I mean, some of it, you have to fill in some of the gaps, you know. We haven't got everything, have we? Marshall Israel, Lord. Yes, I think Luke talks about this, doesn't he? Oh, I've got messages on my phone. Right, okay, I'm going to... The J... hang on. See, this... Oh, just as I was going to turn off. Pushkin Castle. Apparently the J was part of the great vowel reset of the 1650 to 1850s. It was to replace the I and the Y. So I'm trying to find out more about that great the vowel reset. If you got more on that, Pushkin Castle, please email me or message me or something. Say ross@hieroglyphs.com. Because I think this is when the English language was born. I know it sounds ridiculous because they must be speaking it for thousands of years before. I think that's when it was all changed to what we have. That's bizarre, isn't it? But I need more research to back that up. Right, J.A. Pinnell. Some of the boats the Egyptians built are made from splittered wood. Is it splintered wood? They carved a boat out of a log, say, and then smash it and put it back together. Oh yeah, splintered wood. The boat would flex better for speed. Wow, that's fascinating. I wonder why they use some sort of resin. It makes sense, because that's the whole point with the reed boats, you see, is that they get bashed, and it's a bit like the old story of the oak tree and the corn in the wind, isn't it? You know, look at me, I'm big and strong, says the oak tree. And then look at me, I can bend, says the corn. And when the storm comes through, the oak tree gets smashed down, but all the flexible stuff bounces back up, and it's like that with a reed boat. It's amazing, like half the time you've got a foot of water in there and they're still floating. Right, there's a village in West Yorkshire called Lothendon, and according to Wiki, they were speaking a form of primitive Welsh up to the 9th century. Lothendon, I need to look into that. Thank you there, Gold Pond. The other thing you want to look at in that area is a couple of things. We've got Graham and Tara, and if they're watching tonight, I haven't seen the name come up. They'll probably watch it later in the week. There's a couple of places called Walesby, where I found out a few weeks ago they were still speaking Welsh up until quite recently. I don't know how far back that goes. But if you're new to this, go on Wikipedia, or anywhere you like, look up Elmet, E-L-M-E-T, Elmet. And you'll see there is even mainstream confirmation that a part of England, the Midlands, sort of, well, North Derbyshire, South, and a big chunk of Yorkshire was still British rather than Anglo-Saxon. Like you said, at least 9th, 10th century, so maybe that ties in with that, I don't know. Simon Roper, Vowel Resets is a good channel. I like a book. If anyone can find a book on it, that'd be great. I'll try and have a look at that as well. All right, okay, really are coming to the end of the night now. So, Arnie B, do you want to go and do the honours with turn the camera off? We've already played that once, so watch your headset. Oh. So I've done that before. I walked off the headset on and pulled all the computers and everything flying. I just drops the headset and then knocks everything flying. Oh, I got my sandwich I haven't eaten yet.
You do?
Brilliant. Right, okay. Which button am I going to press? Hang on a second.
Is it 3?
3, is it?
I think.
3. Hang on, I better make sure. Hang on a second. I will, hang on a second. Right, no star, everyone. Good night to everyone. Don't forget, hit the like button. Yeah, likes and share, please. Let other people know about it. Pass on the knowledge. Consider buying a book or a game or a present or a t-shirt or something like that. It all helps us out to make fantastic... I should wear them, shouldn't I? I should wear more of this stuff.
It's your merch.
It's my merch. I should wear my own merch, shouldn't I? Thanks, Arn. Merch. You'll learn this jargon from the boys, you know, merch. But we've got to keep things going somehow, haven't we? Oh, by the way, just so you know, we share the revenue with Wilson and Blackett and help them have the kind of old age they deserve. Let's put it that way. Let's put it simply. All right, okay. Till the next time, then. See you all. Do you want to go live tomorrow, Luke? There's a challenge for you. We're going to record it. Maybe we'll do that live. So check out your feeds. You might see a live broadcast, or even 2 during the week, just so I can keep up with things. Until next time, going to thump it on. Don't it too hard. He can't wait. He can't wait. All right, no star Pope. Good night, everyone. Hedwch. Oh, you whacked it. You knocked it clean off.
It's 5.
No, it wasn't 4, look. 3.
I said 3. Listen to the recording. I said 3.
It's a
knob.
Oh, you got these words like that to me, especially on a Sunday. Right, try again. Put the camera back up. The camera's pointing in the ground now. I can't do it now.
Oh, I said it was...
We'll do this again, right? Try and get the camera somewhere near me. If you'd get me on there, klutz. You just saw his face then, yeah. You're now shooting the ceiling at the moment. Right, okay, all right, okay. I'll do this again, right? After the edit, no one will ever know on. It's like, no one will ever know, okay? Right, you ready? Right, everyone. Pretend that didn't happen, all right? Right, everyone, until the next time, no star Pope. Good night, everybody. Peace, which in Welsh is Hedwch. Yay! Kind of words. Right, good night. Turn the microphone off now. I'll give everyone a couple of minutes to say good night to each other in the comments, and I'll shut it down because it's already well up. My goodness, it's almost 10, 2.5 hours. My goodness, no wonder I'm losing my voice. Never happens. Bye.